Hello my children, it is God, here letting you know that if you'd like to watch the video version of this podcast, you can head on over to Content Crusaders on YouTube. There will also be a link provided in the episode description. And now I'm going to slowly fade away into the sky.
Oh wait, are we supposed to talk during the intro?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's gonna be our fifth episode of the Content Crusaders podcast. Same fucking four people as always. Oh, we got the tech guy who's mic'd up this time.
Yeah.
We got Kris here, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, neighborhood street genius once again makes his return.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like really fucking loud, bro. Jesus.
It's very loud.
We're gonna be covering yet another Weeaboo comic today, but first I wanted to introduce. We actually have a
Isn't this
fifth.
Koreaboo?
Shut up. Right. So we have a fifth cast member. Actually, he's in another room, and he may interject at some time. If he does, and he gets grumpy, we'll comment on that. But other than that,
fifth.
hopefully we only got 4 cast members. Okay. Also, want to go out here and say I'm actually standing this time, which y'all won't fucking know unless we post a picture about it, I guess. So I'm going to mention it now. Today,
Very important.
for you 3 gentlemen, we're going to be, I also have a whiteboard. Probably won't do much with it, but I got it. So we're going to be covering Tower of God. This shit's fire, but I don't really care about the story itself. Can you go to the next slide? We're only talking about this shit. Okay, this is the lore, not the story.
I see.
A little different because one actually happens right now and one happened already. So,
Okay.
So the backstory.
yes,
Okay.
kind of. These are the for the large grand picture of things. These are the 3 main things we'll be talking about throughout the entire thing. Is these 3 groups of people. For the record, I just want to point out right now, these are actually emblems from the Tower of God mobile game that was from Korea. So this one in the middle here is very unofficial. That's just some shit they made up for a mobile
Are
game.
you a gotcha gamer?
Thank God, no.
That's pretty impressive, honestly.
What's
to see a
impressive?
non-gotcha.
That
Not
he's
a gotcha
not a gotcha
game?
gamer? Okay.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, it is gotcha. I thought you were asking
Oh.
me if I'm a gotcha gamer.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
what I
oh
asked.
hell of a
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well,
I'm kind of disappointed.
yeah, I kind of said no too.
Yeah,
but
I
you know
have a
what?
good friend who's a gotcha gamer, bro.
We,
Okay.
we
Yeah,
both
yourself?
do.
It may or may not be the same friend.
It's the other Nolan on his other side of the wall.
also standing
you want
here.
You want forward? I'm the one in
yeah.
control of it this time.
Yeah,
so.
go for it. Yeah. Okay. Real quick, dumb thing I always do about telling you what the fucking series is in general. It came out in 2011, or actually, I think that's supposed to say 2010. Don't mind the 2011. It came out in June 2010. Fuck. And it was one of the first series to receive an English translation on Webtoon. Webtoon is just a fucking broken ass app where they let you read manga for free, except for the 3. I gotta keep moving it. Okay. Webtoon's an app where you can basically read manga for free in an official format. You just can't read the 3 newest chapters without paying for them. The translation is garbage. It's actually awful. I just want to stress that right now. There are like 4 translations, official translations for like every single thing's name. So I'll tell you some of those that I think are particularly funny when we get to those.
So like there's official translation, but
That
there's
isn't.
4 of them.
So
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
who's doing the differences and why are they all
Fucking-
official?
Good question. But they're all different, which is
Okay.
awesome.
Bet.
In 2020, it received an anime adaptation that was relatively popular. That was distributed in the U.S. by Crunchyroll. Everywhere else in the world, it was just like on normal television. It actually came out in Korea a while before it came out here. I didn't even know that, but apparently that's the case. The author's name is SIU. His real name is Lee Jong-hui. I'm going to call him SIU every time. That's what he goes by. He is known to take pretty long breaks. It's kind of like Tagashi, but he comes back. And
so sad.
The series, opposed to a manga, which is a tendency to be anywhere from 13 to 22-ish pages, he usually does stuff closer to about 100 pretty regularly, and they're all in full color, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of work.
And he does it weekly, which is why he does it every week. Yeah.
Okay, bro.
And also, this is as like a side note, this is usually likened to Korea's version of One Piece. They are actually quite similar in a lot of ways, but they're pretty different too. But the comparison stands, in my opinion. I get where they're coming from.
Two things about pirates.
Correct.
They're both about pirates. There's a lot of fruit
And characters.
That's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
sure some of those characters are furries. Maybe the furries live in a special area.
They do things too.
That's also important.
Okay, you want me to go forward?
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start by talking about the tower itself and how the fuck the tower works. We'll talk about the inner tower first. This is where almost the entirety of the show takes place. The inner tower is made of areas. There are 134 of them, and they are ruled almost entirely by members of the Zahard Empire.
Wait, you said like towers or levels of the tower?
Levels of the tower.
Okay.
So there are 134 floors of the tower.
Uh-huh.
And the intersection is the smallest section by quite a bit. And in the intersection, every single one of the tower's floors is ruled by a member of the Zahard Empire. Except for two. There are two exceptions to that rule. And then there are two floors that don't have a ruler at all. And I'll talk about both of those. The inner tower is predominantly made up of floors where you go from floor to floor taking tests that are run kind of autonomously by the Zahard Empire and the Guardians / administrators. That's one of those fun ones that has like 7 names. I will just call them administrators. And the administrators we'll talk about a little bit in a minute because they're kind of unique. But for the most part, the administrators hire have their ruler, who is a person in the tower that runs their floor, hire examiners to run the tests. You are also able to take a test through an administrator, but there's a very specific way you can do that. It actually happened in the one season of the show that is out. So if y'all might vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
No.
So everyone in the inner tower, for the most part, is not allowed to give birth. This is like a hard and fast rule by and large. If you're a member of the Zahard Empire, which is made up of Zahard, his 10 homies, and all their family members, you can actually just have kids. But unless you're a part of those groups, you're not allowed to have children. That's why many people seek mates from those families so that they can have kids in the first place.
Okay, so is that rule like you'll be sterilized, or is that rule don't fuck without protection?
Well, you'll either. So what will happen to you is we've seen a couple exceptions to this, but for the most part, what happens is you're either forced to abandon your child and you're removed from the tower intersection and sent to the outer section of the tower, which is not the next section, but 2 sections away. And if you go to the outer section, unless you're a member of the Zahard Empire and you are what's called a ranker, which we'll talk about in a minute, you can't come back. It's very hard to come back. There have been people who've done it that are not the 2 things I said. There's kind of an exception to literally everything in Tower of God, but for the most part, you can't come back. Also, a lot of people in the intersection of the tower, the populace is mostly made up of people that gave up. So you can't give up on climbing the tower until floor 20. If you give up before floor 20, you are just ostracized to the outer side of the outer portion of the tower.
Okay.
What the fuck are you doing, Justin?
He's making a little.
Floor 20.
He likes the dude. Floor 20 is a thing, but I keep thinking about like that's a hard cock. Like
What? What the fuck do you? What do you mean?
I don't even know what that means. Okay,
Zahard,
so,
dude. I just keep.
Okay, bro.
I keep thinking about like how funny of a name Zahard is, dude.
Well, after you said that, then I thought of like JoJo, like Zahand, you know, Zahard, like
Zahard.
Each inner floor of the tower is roughly the size of the Americas. The middle tower is much bigger than that, and the outer tower is much bigger than that. As a sense of scale here, I've drawn a picture. So it's not like this, it's more like this. This is more what it kind of looks like.
Okay, so I'm gonna describe it for the people who can't see it, which is basically about everyone.
I'll also take a picture.
Oh well, I'm pretty sure I'll do it. Okay, so imagine a pancake. Okay, and it's not like
Like
a
a fucking
mini
donut.
pancake with an egg on top. We're talking about a big flapjack with a small egg on top.
I was thinking like, you know, it's just like an egg, but the yolk is like a little bit smaller, and then within the yolk there's like an even smaller circle.
It could be
That's
like
kinda-
one egg in a pan.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
Then you got,
That's
you
not
got like a
terrible.
little cherry or something on the egg.
That's fair. That's fair. Or even the yolk of the egg could kind of be
Yeah,
the middle
yeah.
section, and then the egg itself, the white of it, is like another, and then the pan's the big one. You know?
Yeah, so
That's
imagine
not-
that, guys. Imagine a cast iron pan right now, and then you've got like you got an egg. The egg is the middle section, and the inner.
Is it cooking?
Yeah, it's cooking.
Okay.
Okay. So after the 20th floor, the majority of the residents of the tower are just random ass fucking people and people that serve under the ruler, typically people from the same family of Zahard. The only two floors that don't have this issue are the second floor and the 77th floor are owned by people that are not the Zahard Empire.
Did they like?
We'll
take
talk
o-
about-
Did they take over, bro?
We'll talk about that in detail when we get there. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't manage to get to the 20th floor, you are also, or once you do manage to get to the 20th floor, you are also given a boost to your mortality. One thing I want to bring up now is how long characters fucking live in this series. The current ruler of the tower, Zahard, has been the ruler for, it says, I think several dozen, tens of thousands of years.
Okay.
Which is a weird way to word it, but I think it was a
Yeah.
translation thing. But he's been ruling for a very, very, very long time because his family members, and his like 10 great family leaders and their family members, many of them are straight immortal. And then most characters can live thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The higher you climb up the tower, the longer you're going to live.
So, like-
because you accumulate Shinsu in your body, and I'll talk about Shinsu.
So in the
later.
tower, it's basically like from floors 1, or I guess I don't know if there's like a 0 floor, but like from there to 20, it's like people that are actively trying to go higher. But like starting at floor 20, there's people
That
they're starting
that are
people
just
that are just
getting
kind of
rewards.
just chilling, you know.
They're just chilling, yeah. And many of those people end up moving to the middle section. They don't stay in the inner section.
What's the benefit of getting to floor 20 and then going to the middle section? Is just living longer?
There's just more residential area. That's also where most stores are. So most businesses and things are in the middle section. They're not in the inner section.
And so when you're in the 1 to 20 and you get kicked out, if you like stop trying or whatever, you get kicked to the outer section, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, so the intersection is the size of the Americas,
Yes.
and there aren't a lot of shops there?
No, because it's mostly dedicated to the
Wow.
tests.
I was about to say it's probably because it's like
Tests.
just
There are
Bugging
for
up.
some things. There are like businesses and stuff, but if they are, it's a part of the test.
how many Burger Kings do they have?
Probably many. I know Pokemon deadass exists there.
Okay.
They explicitly mention that because there's a character who has these bombs that look like Pokeballs, and they're like, "Bro, that looks like a Pokeball." That's deadass in the official translation.
Okay.
Very cool.
okay.
It's kind of like how One Piece is a thing in God of High School. Same kind of deal.
Really? I what?
Okay. Now, only other thing I wanted to mention, I guess, about the inner tower is like, to put nicely, dangerous as all fuck. It only gets worse, and it gets like much, much worse, much faster. So the average amount of people that get past even floor 2 is like maybe like 1 in a dozen get out of floor 2, and that number escalates quickly. It gets worse and worse and worse.
Okay,
Like,
so what?
I was gonna say, do they ever tell like how many people are actively trying like at those lower levels? Because I mean, there's got to be
it refreshes like constantly. So every time a group rotates out, there's a new group immediately going.
So like,
is this like
how big is the group though?
We'll kind of talk about that in a minute, because we're going to talk about what the people that climb and like what that means specifically.
So is this like the only healthcare worse than America's? It's like they're like, okay, we got to get to floor 20 if we want to live longer. Come on, this is our only hope.
Well, kind of, but it would be like if we already lived to be 300 anyways.
Oh fuck!
And then they were like, well, wouldn't it be sick
if we live to
several thousand years old?
Oh
so,
shit!
Yeah,
y'all think that'd be dope to live to 300?
No,
I don't think so. Maybe move on.
I don't know. That'd be kind of cool, bro. You could like read so much stuff.
Okay, how's your aging?
I don't know. You're just alive.
All right. So the middle tower, these areas where, like I said, most people who abandon their journeys come to live here. And it is pretty easy to go between these two. It is not so easy to go from middle to outer. You can, like I said, if you're in Zahard's Empire, real quick, I'll talk about my personal favorite mistranslation or other translation. His name in the original translation was Jihad.
That's they said that in the anime.
Exactly. Yeah. So in the anime, they went with Jihad. So you got that to work with. But in Japan, and in the Korea translation, or in the Korean dub, it sounds like they're saying Zahard. So it's like I honestly don't fucking know. It's actually, like I said, it's pretty simple. Childbirth is even more monitored here. Primarily because there are not many people that are rankers and family members that live in this area. And those are the people that are allowed to give birth. So birth happens in the middle tower. It is much more likely to be somebody that is not supposed to do that. That's why often in these areas, children are abandoned pretty constantly. At
least I got Pokemon, dude.
That's just the way it is, bro. And then the other thing I want to talk about here real quick, in the middle section of the tower, there are mazes that are basically cheat codes to climb the tower without having to take the tests. They are almost impossible to navigate without a specific group of individuals with you. And we'll talk about those people because those characters are fucking broken. Okay. Also, a lot of fucking thieves guilds just come to shops that are run by like people that have retired and stuff, and just steal all their shit and ruin their livelihood. It's like a pretty big problem. And there's actually a character from the original cast that's in the first season who is like a member of one of those. And also worth noting as well, the cultural way that the floors are, it permeates throughout the inner, middle, and outer version of all on the same floor. So if it's like a humid tropical ocean place, it's going to be like that in the inner, middle, and outer version of that same floor.
Okay.
So next slide.
Is there a world outside of the tower?
Yes, we have a slide about that.
Okay.
Oof.
Okay. The outer tower. This is where nearly all residents of the tower exist, and this is in fact often referred to as the residential tower. Most people here don't even know who Zahard is, even though he's been ruling the tower for, like I said, several dozen thousands of years. Okay. Also, there is a part about the outer tower that is really fucked, is that they are much harsher environmentally because they didn't tone it down so the test would be too hard in terms of like just surviving in the first place. So many of the people that come from these sections are the people that are invited to the tower, and that's why many of them look like straight fucking aliens. One of the main characters, Rack Wraithrazor, is literally just a crocodile man, because where he comes from, that's just the way people look because they have to, because it's like a swamp world.
Interesting.
Okay.
And also,
this is it's so like the outer tower of the floor that he's from is like crocodile people, basically.
Yeah, because that's who adapted there.
Okay.
But,
I'm getting why it's like One Piece.
Yeah. They're all based off of the traits of their given administrator. There's one administrator per floor, and they are giant monsters that have some animalistic traits to them. And let's say it's like a giant snapping turtle monster. Likely, you're going to have that thing I talked about earlier, where you kind of have a tropical, humid, oceany climate, because that's what he wants. So everything that lives there is going to like kind of adapt to what he is like. So that's what the floor is just going to be like.
Always
decide
about
what the world is
themselves.
like.
Huh?
They just decide what the world is like.
Yeah, just make it whatever they'll want it to be like them.
Okay.
I mean, everyone wants their egg
So
to be a little bit different, Bryce.
do they decide what they're gonna be, or are they just like born like that and they're like, well, I'm a fucking turtle person, so I'm gonna make turtle
So
people.
I'm under the assumption that they are just like that, but it's unclear whether they were just born or if they were created. And I'll kind of
I was thinking about that because, like,
I feel like the tower and the administrators or something we're talking about a lot.
I feel like if I were to be able to create people, I don't know if I'd want them to look exactly human. I think it would be fun to
Also,
experiment.
Dude, I would make them look so fucked up. It'd be hilarious.
I've seen your Dark Souls characters.
Exactly.
Oh,
That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay. Also, the middle and inner towers for most cultures and the outer tower are like mostly hearsay from family members of Zahard who have come by in the past, and that is literally it. And there's a lot of like mural type shit there. They're pretty far behind on the lower levels, and in the outer tower, typically you're likely to live about 200 years old at the bottom, and as you get to the top, you live closer to about 1,000. And that's only because they're more advanced civilization wise as you get higher up.
All right.
They're a lot more city-esque the higher you get. That's not necessarily the case for the inner and the middle towers. There's more like metropolis type stuff in the center portions. There are also a lot of kingdoms and shit in these towers because they don't realize that them being king is like complete nonsense and not actually true. Because Zahard just doesn't give a shit. I'll talk a lot about how Zahard just doesn't give a shit. He's definitely a work smarter, not harder kind of fella. And
I mean, that's just
I'll emphasize that quite a bit. But
when you live several tens of thousands of years, you kind of just got
Several dozens of tens
several
of
dozens of tens of thousands of years.
Yeah. Had to clarify that one real quick.
Also, another thing that's interesting, there is a lot of the reason why there's like the lore of the inner tower in the first place is because their life expectancy was not always this high. It was actually much lower. And there was a point in their history where suddenly their life expectancy just went way up. And that actually corresponds with an event in the inner tower that is in a lot of their legends as well. There's always somebody from Zahard's army who is present in their floors, keeping like tabs on everybody to make sure nothing dumb happens over there. And they usually don't even know that they're there. And their jobs are very easy because for the most part, if you're in Zahard's army, that means you're a ranker. And that means that you could kill almost everybody on our floor by yourself very easily. Right. So we can go ahead and move on.
What can you describe again what I know the rankers are like powerful people, but how are they like exactly related to Zahard?
We'll talk about that, but the next 3 slides are all about regulars and rankers.
So how many like rankers? Okay, I guess you're talking about it. Okay.
So outside of the tower, next to nothing is known about this, but all weapons in the tower are based off of weapons from out of the tower. And this is like well known somehow.
Like when you say out of the tower, you mean like not like
they were brought in and then they built weapons based off the weapons brought in, which makes it seem like weaponry was not a thing before people started entering the tower from outside.
Okay. Damn, a world of peace.
So we're talking like reverse engineering kind of stuff.
Sort of, yeah, but they then made them a lot crazier.
Okay.
They also did a little bit of that. Another thing about the tower, outside the tower, is people just do know what the tower is outside of the tower. It's like, visible to people.
I was gonna say, I would
consistently.
feel like they would be able to see something that fucking big.
Okay, well, maybe this will come up, but was the tower made?
We'll kind of talk about it, yeah.
Okay, because I'm thinking like, if they're able to make a tower without weaponry, I'm sorry, but a hammer is a weapon. Like,
yeah.
Or do you think like there's just a bunch of dudes that like started hitting some shit and they made the tower?
I'm saying I hope Zahard just went like,
damn, there's the tower.
Laid
now.
it right on the table.
Also, no one except for a single individual has ever left the tower from inside. And that person we'll talk about extensively later. But what you also need to know is that there is a pretty there's a rumor in the like current lore that with very good evidence that a guy named Pobedal Gustong does know how to
What
leave.
a fucking guy, dude. That's a great
Yeah, that's
name.
a great name.
There's a lot of cool names in this series. Okay, so move
Mustang.
forward. Okay, so these are floors that I want y'all to keep in mind. The first floor, the floor of test. This is where they weed out people and teach them how to use their powers. Powers are based around Shinsu. Shinsu is in everything. So the way that they word this, Shinsu is everything you breathe, everything you drink, everything you eat, and all you see that wasn't made. So what that means is just anything unartificial is made up entirely of Shinsu.
But like aren't technically like artificial things made of
They can be made of Shinsu.
right, like things that are not artificial.
Not really.
Would that mean you as
I'll
you
kinda
as
talk
well are
about
made
that.
completely of Shinsu?
Huh?
Does that mean that like me as like a born creature, that would mean I'm also made of fully Shinsu?
Sort of. Not really. They're kind of spawned into existence by the Guardians, is what I would say seems likely.
The Guardians aren't
Guardians are the administrators.
Okay,
They're the same thing.
Yeah, you should stick to one word for sure.
Yeah,
on that one.
administrators will go with, okay, is what I'm saying now. I'm not going to claim it to be true. So there are, by the way, rankings among regulars, and there are points in the tower where you rank up to the next rank. The E class status is assigned on floor 20, which is also when you're starting to work towards the workshop battle. We'll talk about the workshop battle a little bit. It's kind of a weird thing. The train city is the start of the Hell Train section of the tower, which is fucked.
At what point do they go to class? And because they got to be in high school, right?
The very start, I guess.
Really?
Okay, are
Oh,
some
no.
of them
No.
even younger than high school, and are some of them like 300 years old?
I mean, there are many people like in Bam's starting group. The main character, his name is Bam. And in his starting group, there are many fucking people a lot older than him. And he looks young. And likely he is actually young because he's from outside the tower, which we'll talk about. But
Wait, so there's people that come in from outside the tower, but there's only one person that's left the tower.
it's only one person that's left. Yeah.
Okay,
Alright.
so that means that somewhere down the line, his parents decided wherever they were to have sex at all.
What?
Is that how he got outside
That
the
would
tower?
be a fair assumption. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you do have to have sex to have kids. So that
Well, I
doesn't
meant-
Wait,
Well,
what? I'm confused on your question. So,
I meant like, was he taken outside the tower, or did he?
We'll kind of get to this.
you're talking about the one dude that
We're
left.
gonna sort of talk about that. All right. Another thing, the Hell Train spans several stations located on floor 37, 39, 40, 42, and 44. If you have a ticket to the Hell Train, you can get on and off any of these stations on the Hell Train, but you have to move with the Hell Train. So if you get on the first floor, you have to go all the way up before you can come back. That hardly matters for the cases of the main characters, but it does matter in general that you can do that. Floor 50 is the Ranker's Administration Office and a place called
Yeah, you
floor
forgot
of
the
death.
floor of death.
where I did that on purpose, Jill.
Also, so is the train? Okay, I know it's called the Hell Train. So is it like a very dangerous train?
Or is this?
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Oh,
wondering.
okay,
I'm like,
okay.
bro, you could get on the fucking train at 37 or no 35, and then just ride up to 44 and live like a hella longer just for riding the train.
It is not short either.
Okay,
Okay.
I mean like it's
It is a
relative
long train
relative to how long you be living.
I was
know?
just thinking, maybe it's one of those trains where like you go with your kid. We don't have kids. You go with your kid and like, they're really tiny and you're really big. And it's just like, oh God, this is so cramped. I'm fucking am in pain.
Sure, Chris.
bro.
All
No, it's the Mugen train.
Okay, very quickly, the rest of these floors, I'm not going to talk about very much because we don't know that much about these yet.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Okay, what's up?
Do we have any more train jokes?
Hold on. Okay, the Ranker's Administration Office and the Nest are on floor 50. 451 is the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence. I will actually talk about that later. The Cage is on floor 52. Volhike floor, one of the only two floors. By the way, Volhike Song means I think it's like the tree that flies with wings or something like that.
Makes sense.
In like German or some shit.
Fug.
Fug is in fact located on floor 80.
That's one of the 3 like clans or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Zahard's palace is on floor 134. He's actually the ruler of that floor as well.
That's not the top though, right?
That is not the top, correct?
Bro, why isn't he the top?
We'll talk about that. Okay. We'll go
Wow.
forward to the next slide. Okay.
What a humble guy.
Regulars and irregulars.
That ass looks like, kind of reminds me of the fucking character from Digimon.
I was gonna say that looks like a Digimon, dude.
It does look like a Digimon.
So
So
he looks
this
like
dude,
there was definitely one of them from the movie that looks like that. I think.
You're actually kind of right. Yeah. So this character is named Head On.
Head on.
Okay, guys,
Head
it is
on.
literally spelled head on. You
S.
guys got to look this up. This looks like a Digimon.
Head on. Head off.
So
Wait.
Oh,
Does
up?
the existence of head on imply the existence of a head off?
likely.
I bet they have a movie about it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A whole movie about head off.
Head off.
Yeah, and then the whole movie they're just going head on.
Head off. Head off is so this is like Terriermon, and then head off is like the Cocomon.
For real,
That's pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah, I like that.
All right,
Can we make a movie about that?
probably. I mean, I can't no, but like we can say
Oh yeah, we do.
All right,
We don't
so-
have any of that.
A regular is any person from within the tower. Key statement is
Like
a person
born
from
in the
within the
tower.
tower, born in the tower.
Okay.
They can be selected from the inner, middle, or outer tower. Most are from the outer tower. When they complete a notable feat, that is the most vague phrase possible. That is the phrasing used, and I don't know what that means. They are selected to come to the first floor and start their climb.
Dude.
You can be born in the inner tower on the top floor and be called down to the first floor to start.
Do you think anyone's ever been called in for like eating all their oatmeal and they get big and strong?
I'm sure.
Okay, I was gonna
There are
ask.
people who've been called in because they're really strong. So yeah.
I was gonna
did they eat their oatmeal?
Well, that's not how we get big and strong. I'm sorry, Bryce, but you foregoed getting big and strong by eating, I think, like 6 pounds of meat every single morning. That's how I think Bryce would get big and strong.
That's what I would do.
I think that would help me get big.
But anyway, I was wondering, do you have any like examples of like really dumb things that people said, yeah, that was my notable feat?
No, they're almost never talked about at
Eating all your
Damn.
oatmeal.
So also they're all selected by this guy. This guy,
Oh, head on.
the thing about Head On is he is actually the administrator of the first floor, and the first floor is the one of 2 floors with no ruler. Head On in particular, we don't really know why him and Zahard allow people to come in at all, but they do in fact are making that a thing. This was not a system before Zahard.
So they want it to happen.
They want this to be happening. He did select people before that, but very often relative to now. Zahard wants a constant stream of people coming through. We do not know why at all, but I have a theory.
Well, I have a theory too.
Come through, bro.
Now, regulars, born within the middle and outer tower, always. It also, you are not required to climb. You can just say no. There's a lot of things in the tower where you can just say no, because I think a lot of it is kind of arbitrary, but we'll talk more about that.
Can I explain my theory?
Sure.
Okay, so I imagine Head On, this guy's got like actual eyes. So he's like, that's pretty notable. And then Zahard came in and
But you're
like,
saying people that have eyes are notable?
yeah. Actually, this character does not have eyes from what I can tell.
You do.
He do?
He do have eyes.
Whoa. Anyway, well, I'll just say that I feel like, he picked out Zahard. Zahard got really high up and really strong. And, now Zahard can like look out anywhere. And he's like chilling. He grinded
for this view.
He's grinding for the view. He can look out anywhere. He's laying on his throne, sitting on his throne, and he's watching on like a little iPhone or something. And he's like, damn, that dude ate so much oatmeal.
Bro, no, he's on floor 134, dude. He got that iPad.
Okay, he's got a fucking iPad. And he's like, that's a lot of oatmeal. And then he FaceTimes his friend head on, and he's like, dude, that guy ate a lot of oatmeal. Bring him in.
By the way, honestly, Zahard has no influence on who he chooses at all. He just tells him to do that part. Okay,
damn. That sucks.
There is a lot of other things Zahard does though, involving the processor climbing that he is very involved with. And I'll talk about that for sure. Okay. So one thing is, what is an irregular? An irregular is somebody from outside the tower who just forced their way in. There are only a few characters who have done this, and there's one unique example that is not like that, but is an irregular anyways. But they are also from outside the tower. If you are from outside the tower, it is impossible to be chosen. So you are an irregular by default. The tower is not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be able to come in from outside.
Wait, so they're not chosen, but they want people to come in. So aren't they choosing people to come in?
I didn't necessarily say that the tower as a whole wanted people to come in.
Well, I mean, Zahard and Head.
Zahard does, but they get people from within the tower.
Okay.
They do not want people to come from outside.
I thought you said that they wanted people
to come in.
They
Irregulars
want people to come to this floor and start climbing. They do not want people to come into the tower from outside.
Do the irregulars usually get far in, or are they usually stopped on the outside?
What do you mean?
Like the outside walls?
The outer tower?
Yeah, the outer tower.
Well, you're just like teleported to the first floor in the inner tower when you're chosen. And
well, I'm talking about the irregulars.
The irregulars, when you walk in from outside, you're just in the inner tower's first floor because he addresses you immediately. That's his job.
Oh, okay.
So what'll happen is when you walk in, for the most part, he allows them through because it's stated. Okay, so the administrators say often that they are not welcome here. They are not supposed to be here. They do not want them to be here, but they allow them to be here by the will of the tower. So the will of the tower is the only thing, since he is an administrator, that overrides Zahard saying something. Because, in fact, there is technically something about the tower. The tower seems like a living thing. I wanted to mention that now because there's other times where I'll talk about this. But the will of the tower just supersedes anything anyone can do. There are some things that the will of the tower signed away to Zahard to control instead. And I'll get to that later. But by and large, irregulars are allowed in by head-on. And sometimes head-on will tell Zahard, and sometimes he won't. And a particular example of when he didn't was with the main character. He did not tell him, and we do not know why.
Damn.
Yeah. So, next slide.
Wait, you just told a little bit of the story. Now I want to know it.
Wait, I did?
You said bam.
Well, that's just the main character's name.
Yeah, but that is not an exception.
It was actually an onomatopoeia.
It's his name.
Okay.
Fucking.
So,
what?
Very quickly, rankers are people who have gotten to the top floor at least one time. All you need to do is get there, and then you will now be entered into the ranking. Like I said, the rankings administration office is located on floor 50. You will be then sent there. They will do a test with you, and that's how they will assign your rank. If you do the test to become a ranker without getting to the floor 134, you do not get ranked. So you can pass the ranker test with flying colors, and if you didn't get to floor 134, not ranked. The reason I believe this is the case is because Zahard can see everything in the higher floors at any time. So he wants to know who you are before he puts you in the rankings. That makes sense. But there are a couple times where it's so grim and so dark that he will rank you anyways because he wants everyone to know who you are by name.
I'm guessing that's sort of the case where, like, if they pass the ranker test, they're probably going to get to that floor anyway.
Yeah. There's a couple times where, like, it's so bad, something that happens, that he has to rank them kind of and ignore that rule. There's 2 cases of that. Or I guess only one major case where he ranked someone without them even getting there. But it's also kind of unclear if he ever got there, but it's pretty likely he didn't. Also, another thing with rankers is there's 3 distinctions of rankers and then a 4th kind of hood distinction. You have high rankers, which is the top 1%, advanced rankers, which is the top 10%, and then rankers, which are just the normal rankers. It's a high ranker could probably solo thousands of regular rankers. These characters would treat Goku like dirt. I emphasize strongly that these are like maybe the most powerful characters I've ever seen in fiction before. They are broken.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very insane.
How
As one anecdote for how powerful these characters seem, there's this one scene where they show a character standing on top of a building, and then there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of spears falling from the sky, the size of skyscrapers, that are all also shooting lasers made of Shinsu on their way down.
What?
It literally nowhere on the, it literally mentions nowhere on the floor when that happened could you not see the spears falling from the sky.
Oh my God.
It is fucking crazy.
Bro, but Saitama wouldn't get hurt by that.
He actually wouldn't. That's correct. That's canon.
Yeah.
He's invincible.
Bro,
Okay.
so Saitama is just the most powerful.
Yeah, it is a fair point. I don't think there's anybody here that's invincible.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, if people are that powerful, like, how does he differentiate their powers in a way that's like interesting?
A lot.
Let's
Mostly
go.
with the position system, which I'll talk about. But
Okay.
Now, there are some people who are either missing, inactive for a certain period of time, usually since like ancient times, which ancient times in this series context is prior to Zahard's rule, or are hard to define rank wise. So instead of ranking them prematurely, they simply just don't rank them. And these characters are called blue holes. Don't know why.
God,
That's
man.
the word he thought of. Okay. You can be inactive and stay ranked. In fact, the number 1 and 2 rankers are both inactive. They have not done anything for a long ass time, but they are both still ranked anyways. Also, as a side note, being an irregular makes your rank very likely to be high. And that's because irregulars have a unique thing involving Shinsu they can do that people that are regulars cannot, which is that they can use Shinsu of their own will without having to sign a Shinsu contract. So whenever you get to a floor, and I'll talk about this a little more soon, you have to sign a contract with the administrator stating that the administrator allows you to use Shinsu on that floor for your powers. Otherwise, you can't use it. There are 2 exceptions to that rule, but otherwise you have to sign the contract. One of those exceptions being irregulars, and the other one are called guides. And I'll mention that later. Irregulars are also able to do things with Shinsu that just completely break the rules of Shinsu. And also irregulars, and this will come up, can kill administrators and Zahard and his 10 Grey family leaders. So Zahard and his 10 Grey family leaders are invulnerable to death at the hands of a regular. It is not possible. You could beat Zahard's ass for 30 years straight and he will never die. You cannot do it. It is impossible. But irregulars do not have to follow that same rule. They can just kill those people.
Is it because of the contract of the will of the tower?
They're balling.
Yes. Another thing, all ranked irregulars are like essentially just like the top of the ranking list. Irregulars are incredibly unfair when they're fighting someone else. And also, the rankers are not allowed to interfere with regulars climbing the tower in any way. You might be wondering, well, then what the fuck is that bitch in the first episode doing when she comes down and literally gives Bam one of the most broken weapons in the entire show? And my response to that would be, is Zahard doesn't actually care about that rule. So what I'll talk about now is Zahard puts in place a shit ton of rules just to get people, because he's so powerful that people that think he's going to do something won't break the rules just because he said so, but he doesn't actually enforce his rules at all because that's just like a waste of mental energy. So for the most part, if somebody on the floor just happens to enforce it, cool. If not, it literally doesn't matter because they can't do anything about it anyways. So like even if they are breaking his rules, it will probably have no significant consequence. So he just doesn't really pay mind to it. That's generally a problem with him. And there's like a whole thing about how that started happening. But the only other thing worth noting is high rankers are essentially immortal and like just do not age. They many of the people in the 10 great families leaders and Zahard all look the exact same as they did when they originally climbed the tower a long fucking time ago.
Okay.
So like since the 10 family members are like so high up, are any of them irregulars?
In fact, they all are.
I was about to say like
Zahard and his 12. They're called the 10 Great Warriors and the 2 Forgotten Warriors. The 12 people that came with him. They are based off of the gods of Olympus from Greek mythology. Zahard obviously being Zeus. A few others are pretty obviously based off stuff, but a lot of the leaders we actually don't know a whole lot about yet. But a few we know quite a bit about, which is mainly Zahard and like 4 other ones specifically.
I'm glad you're asking questions, Bryce. I'm a little worried for you.
What do you mean?
Bryce is right. You know, you might be a street genius, but are you going to get to the next level?
We actually are doing something else today.
Holy shit.
We're actually going to do it right after the slide, which is over. So go ahead and move on. So we're going to be doing a new segment today where instead of asking something that is like an actual question about what we're talking about, we're going to ask a more philosophical question.
Oh no.
That's very vaguely related.
Okay.
That will have an opinionated answer.
Philosophical question.
So today I decided we're going to go in order from shortest to tallest. So our good friend Kris is going to be up first today.
What?
And what we're going to do with that, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you, Kris, a question, and then a little bit, I'm going to ask Justin a question that's a little more thought-provoking, and then I'm going to ask Bryce the most thought-provoking question of all.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah.
Kris, my question to you. If you had to make a test that you believe only 1% of our human population without powers could pass, what would the test be? And it cannot account for like, it can't be beat LeBron James in basketball or something like that. It's not something where like a requisite skill would be
0%.
Yeah, it's not something where like a super trained requisite skills required.
I got it. I think my test would be about bias. I think if we could have I think there would only be 1%, if not less than 1%, of people that can be unbiased on everything. So my test would just check for biases. Now at that point, I don't know how I would make it. Because a test that checks for biases has to be unbiased itself.
You're getting a little too philosophical here, bro.
That's the will of my test, I guess.
Okay. I think that's fine, I guess. I feel like more than 1% of people can remain unbiased enough.
About everything?
About everything. Well, how do you test everything?
Exactly. That's what I kind of rose as a question of my own thing.
I feel like if it's like literally every topic, I feel like it's 0% of people.
Yeah, that's fair.
How many people are unbiased about foods they like?
Yeah.
Like dead as 0?
Bro, I'm not.
Okay. We'll move on then. All right. Answer Kris is fine, I guess. All right. So administrators and rulers. Administrators are big as fuck. They're giant monsters. I kind of talked about that already. They govern the way that the floors work. They allow people to use Shinsu.
Wait. Are we like separating the segments?
Yeah, they're not gonna happen all at the same time.
Okay.
So we're gonna give it time to marinate, on Chris's kind of whatever answer.
All right, you want me to go a little harder on it?
Yeah. Wait. You got 30 seconds to go harder.
Yeah, you got 30 more seconds. Let me get a timer out. I don't want to be embarrassed when we waste time. All right.
All right. Whenever this timer starts, you better be ready.
30 seconds?
Yep.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Pain.
All right, and go.
Oh, you want me to answer in 30
Yes!
seconds? Okay.
25 seconds.
Maybe a test that tests for like something like a specific genome. Maybe I could make a type of poison that doesn't affect only like 1% of people. That's not really necessarily a test, but a test of if you live or die. Everyone will be injected with it, and then if they live, they're that lucky 1%.
Bro, I think that was worse than the first one.
Get fucked.
Did you say get fucked?
Yeah. He's probably one of the people that are gonna die.
It's not even. I mean, it is a test, but like, it's not even a test. It's just random, basically.
Is it? It's exactly 1% of people.
I mean, that's fair, but like, that's kind of forcing your hand a little bit. That's a little lazy. All right. So,
Yeah,
You
come
guys
on,
were forcing
come on,
my
bro.
hand.
All
What the
right, all right. You
fuck?
got 5 seconds to make a new one.
Okay, no,
give up.
If you can
yeah,
take.
I give up. I give up here.
All right.
Oh,
So-
never mind.
Okay. So like I said, they're giant monsters, control Shinsu, sign contracts with people. They can actually sign contracts that do things other than allow you to use Shinsu. Like the really crazy one I'm gonna talk about later was Zahard that he signed with the one on the 100th floor. There is one in particular I want to talk about. So the 135th floor has a administrator on it who attacks everyone that enters on site. That's not the reason, I think at least, that they don't climb. I believe it was part of the contracts Zahard signed that they don't climb, but that's a big part of it. Is anybody who like does manage to get through Zahard's forces and get up there would just be slaughtered. Like they would just die.
So, can you tell us how many floors there are?
We only know of 135. It's implied pretty heavily though that there is more past 135, but nobody's ever even been like all the way on to 135.
Wait, I thought you said that if you make it to the top, then you become a ranker, right?
Well, you make it to the top, which is the top in regards to how Zahard controls the way the tower works. So 130 floor is the top, in theory, because Zahard made it impossible to go to floor 135.
So
But
wait, so
you
his
can go higher than that.
the floor that he is on, which is floor
134.
is basically like quote the top,
That is what they're considered
right?
the top
And then
of the tower.
135 is where the scary big bad monster administrator guy is.
Yes.
Okay.
There's also other reasons people don't go there, but
Because they don't want to get fucked up.
yeah, because Zahard would fucking murder them in their where they stand, no matter who they are. That's a pretty cool example of that later. Okay. Shinsu is accounted for by them on their floor, and if they only allow a set amount of Shinsu per person. As you climb up the floors, you get more, and that includes once you come back down. So if I go up to floor 70 and come back down to floor 2, I can use the amount of Shinsu I would have used on floor 70, so long as I am not an examiner. Examiners have their Shinsu limited, so they can't like just fucking murder regulars on the first floor by just like flicking them, because that would actually just happen. They would just die instantly. That
Really shocked our tech guy. Our tech guy
Bro,
was
I feel
like,
like-
"Oh my god, could I die by getting flicked?
They
Oh my
literally
god!"
just like batter.
I feel like with
all
how
your
he
organs
described
and
how
stuff.
powerful like that one thing was earlier does not surprise me at all.
Yeah,
Like I feel like the
Justin's
the-
that one guy who did not see the spears
dude. I feel
on the whole floor.
everyone could see it but him. No, I feel like it's a kind of thing where like the top rankers, like the people at floor 1, they could literally just like they could just breathe and it would just like blow them away and like slam them into a wall and kill them.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, that seems about how it is.
Yeah. But yeah,
Had to
okay,
be
so
anime.
next thing I want to talk about. So every administrator has a ruler attached to them that helps run their floor for them as like a proxy, so they don't have to actually do anything. The administrators, by the way, are highly intelligent organisms. I don't know if like me calling them monsters and like how I described them so far it would make you believe that, but they're very, very, very smart.
I mean, I figured they'd be smart. They're administrators of the whole floor. They got like a lot of paperwork to do.
Yeah, that's a lot of paperwork.
What's funny is the paperwork's actually handled by the rulers. So they don't even do that
Yo,
part. But I
let's
guess
go.
they had to have before Zahard
What
got
about
there.
the contracts?
The contracts is done by them, but like you don't really have to like see them to do that really. Like it's just kind of like an implied thing that's what happens.
You're like, hey,
they're just kind of always like they're kind of like fused with the Shinsu of the floor, sort of is what I kind of get.
So like, you know, you said Zahard can like see everything basically, right? So can the administrators like see everything everywhere that happens on their floor?
Yeah, I mean they're totally cognizant of everything happening on their floor, and if
Okay.
they believe there's a reason to intervene with an individual on a floor, they will do it. There's one very specific example of that I'll talk about.
You're saying like I go up on the floor and like maybe it's snowing and like I pee my name into the snow.
What the fuck on? Or are you got a point here?
Is that a signature? Is that my go ahead?
Oh, but you're so wait. So you're
I
saying,
was saying
you're
you
like
sign the
signing?
contract
Yeah.
with your piss?
Yeah.
No, you would just walk on the floor and then you would automatically sign it as the process.
I
is
feel
going
like-
through the floor.
Oh, okay. So
I feel like that would be
Okay.
a point where the administrator intervenes and kills you.
Yeah, I feel like that's stepping a lot of boundaries there.
well,
You're forsaking
and,
the contract by making a joke out of it, Chris. It's kind of fucked up.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
bro.
that's
Like
fair.
that's not okay.
I've been holding it too long.
Also,
Wait,
you know,
I bet I have to piss. I've had to piss so bad that right now I just gotta write my name in the snow. Like,
Also,
goddamn, I can't hold it in any longer.
rulers, by the way, also don't want to do their fucking job. So they hire these guys called test directors who actually run everything for them. And test directors hire examiners who do all the exams for them. And the cool thing is irregulars have this cool thing they can do where they can just say, fuck you. I want to talk to the administrators. And the administrators have to respond. This is one thing that is kind of confusing because the administrators seem to be almost kind of scared of irregulars in a way. Because if an irregular demands contact with an administrator, the administrator will answer.
And then, like, if they wanted to, like, if they're powerful enough, they could just kill them.
So they're like a
Right.
Karen.
A little bit. But
demand to speak to your administrator.
also, one key thing about the administrators is what happened before there were examiners and test directors and rulers. There were tests anyways. So who gave those tests? The administrators.
Yeah.
So because of this, at any time, an irregular can choose to skip all the smaller portions of a test on a floor to take the administrator's test and go straight to the next floor. There's only one example of this that we know, but we also know that when Zahard's group got up, and the administrator's tests are much more fucked. They're not designed for people to pass necessarily.
Yeah.
It's supposed to keep people it's supposed to prevent them from doing well. In this case, though, there is one example in the story of us seeing this happen. And whenever Zahard's group came, they did every administrator test.
They kind of are busted.
Yeah. His group is crazy nuts.
No joke. No joke. No games.
You know, with the bureaucracy, this is a serious comment. I like something I've been noticing while you've been explaining this. I really like how this is a fantasy world, but there's so much incorporated from our world that can be used to, like, I don't know, like be an allegory or like give a central theme that works with our world. The fact that there's a whole stupid bureaucracy with the administrators and the test giving, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And the administrators very rarely do anything. They're pretty indifferent about most things. Like I said, there are some select events though where they forcefully involve themselves. And then there's the whole situation with the 135th administrator. It's also believed that whenever Zahard was the first person to get to floor 100, the administrator immediately approached him with the contract. And an event prior to that allowed him to accept it, which I'll get to later. His group did not necessarily want to do, but
Wait.
they weren't going to really stop him.
Can you state that again?
So when they got to floor 100 for the first time, Zahard was approached by the administrator with a special contract
Okay.
that they inevitably did sign, even though his group didn't necessarily all want to do that.
Okay.
But they kind of outweighed it in the end, and they decided to do it.
Kind of
So
like like a little thingy.
Yeah. By the way, all of Zahard's empire's members, like members of the families, and a group called the Princesses of Zahard, we'll talk about that, are all allowed by birth a contract that lets them use Shinsu on every single floor. So you don't even need to sign them when you go floor to floor. You are just allowed to do it by virtue of being in one of those families. And the other thing I want to talk about is there is at any time an administrator can just tell the ruler, you're not the ruler anymore. And also the administrators are allowed to just overrule them at any time. They can just be like, yeah, you're wrong.
I mean, yeah, it seems like they're basically just like
They're like the
imagining.
CEOs. Of the
Yeah, I was
floor.
like, well, I was just imagining like the floors is like just because you said they have like different climates and stuff like that. It's just like its own world, and then there's just like a god of whatever world, basically.
Yeah. Also, you can request of an administrator the right to bear children, even if you're not a member of the empire. They just usually say no. But apparently it has happened where someone has asked for a contract to be able to bear children on a floor, and Zahar doesn't like that happens sometimes, but it does sometimes. And there's usually an exception that causes it to be allowed. So, okay.
It's okay. Wait, so are
go
like
to the next one now.
the administrators like technically like above Zahard?
Yes and no.
I mean, he could kill them, I guess, but like, couldn't they make decisions that like overrule his?
They can
they're like
to a
part
degree.
of the tower, kind
Yeah.
of, and he's like not part
He's
of
like
the
an
tower.
outside entity.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I would say that it's a pretty mutually beneficial agreement for both. Because if all the administrators wanted Zahar dead, I find it hard to believe they couldn't kill him. But I find it hard to believe that not most of them would die in the process. That's kind of an issue with Zahard in general, is you're not just dealing with Zahard when you
All
deal with
his
Zahard,
homies.
you're dealing with his 10 homies who are just also like, of the top 20 rankers, all but one of them are in that group. And even among the group of those people that aren't in that group, the rest of them all work for him except for like 3 of them. So
Yeah.
it is quite dark if you're not in his group.
He's definitely laying on or sitting on his throne, looking at his iPad all day.
I like to think he like. It's kind of weird because I know he probably doesn't smoke or drink or anything. But that's what I'd be doing because his job sounds easy as
So
fuck.
you think he's
Yeah.
just getting up there, just like getting faded?
He's getting faded, and then he's got his all-seeing eye, and he's like, "I see you."
Yeah. Also, another weird thing about Zahard is he's like simultaneously the most overconfident and paranoid human being of all time. Like there's some really weird measures he takes sometimes that are like, wow, that's a big reaction to that. But then
Yeah.
he'll do like these really insanely overconfident things too. And it's like, I can't really tell which one is like more how he is.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
that makes sense.
So talk about the 5
I mean, I don't know if it
positions.
makes like sense.
Well, I
but,
mean,
like, I like.
he's got
I
a
kinda
lot
like
of
how-
reason to be confident.
Well, yeah, you're
but
right.
at the
I mean,
same
yeah, you're
time,
right.
Oh,
he's
there's
got
a lot
to
of
lose.
reasons to be like both. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say he could be very confident because he's who he is, but also like he sometimes he could be worrying because like you don't want to fuck some shit up because
I don't want to fuck some shit up
he
either.
kind of got something going on here.
Yeah, if I get to live by being crossfaded for several dozen thousands of years, like
Bro, that would be so fucked up. What if you lived for several dozens of thousands of years and you were just like crossfaded the entire time?
what if you got
that'd be
sober?
you just
before your
wouldn't
birth-
care anymore.
I mean, yeah, it'd just be like your life.
Yeah.
But dude, I feel like you could like do some crazy shit. Like,
That's definitely true. Especially when you can do shit like he can.
yeah.
Use a real crazy shit. Bro.
Yeah.
You can like Christopher Columbus somewhere in the outer tower, like at
You
any
can
time.
activate the DMT that comes in when he
wait,
dies.
what you mean like?
Just go there and kill all the natives.
Okay. I thought you talked about
Dude,
like
when you said-
discovering a
when you
new
said-
place or something. Like, okay,
when you
well,
said
that
the princesses of Zahard, I was like, the daughters of the American Republic is Zahard racist now, or what?
All right. So let's get to the 5 positions. This is how combat works in the tower. There are 5 positions, and you almost always want to work as a team. Working as a team is substantially more broken than not doing so. The only role that can realistically work by itself at all times and be super successful is the fisherman.
well, you may have to say this again, but or if you already said it. So is this like the 5 positions within like groups that are climbing the tower?
Yes.
Okay.
You're gonna be one of the 5, and you will usually be in a team with all of the others, and you have to work together.
So like, are they all like homies working together? Like,
I mean, you can work
trying-
together and not be homies, but for the most part, yes,
Okay.
they're gonna be homies.
I just want to know that you're my homie. You're my homie, Bryce.
Yeah.
You know,
We're
Justin's
homies.
my homie.
Bryce is in fact a fisherman.
Bryce
as we
is
know.
a fisherman. And he'll
I'm
never
a
eat
homie.
it. That's how much of a homie he is.
That's
He'll
true.
fish for me. He'll want to kiss that fish like, ooh, I caught you, but he can't. He has to touch them through rubber arms.
Would you eat my fish?
I'd eat your fish, dude.
Thank you. That's a homie move right there.
Okay.
It kind of making me want to.
All right, very nice. So, how about we let me get through this slide real quick.
I'm about to be a spear bearer, Bryce.
Oh god. Oh man.
That's fucking weird.
That's,
All right.
that was pretty good.
So
that was definitely like both of those things we said were probably like a little bit weirder than I anticipated, but that was pretty funny.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
I liked that. I thought it was okay.
Thanks, Nolan. You know what?
All right.
You're a homie too for saying that.
Yeah.
So, the fisherman is gonna be like the fisherman is gonna be the person who runs up on a homie and just starts swinging. They fight with one of three weapons typically.
A spear?
Usually they have all of them, but they use the fisherman.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the spear bearers.
No. The spear bearers are different.
Okay.
Spear bearers actually don't just use spears. Just some do. But yeah, they have one of three weapons.
When did you draw this?
This is a sword. This is a needle, and this is a hook. This is what they kind of look like. These are awful drawings, bro. But you can like tell. Kind of what those look like.
We're gonna get a snap picture of that.
So the fishermen are the CQC goats, and they are also the strongest in one-on-one combat literally every time. If there's like a saying in the tower, if it's one-on-one combat, bet on a fisherman, because the fishermen are just generally the most powerful. Of the top 10 rankers, there are only 2 who are not fishermen. Only 2. This also, fishermen are the most likely to be able to do other positions as well.
So you're not
keep
stuck
that
to
in
one.
Really
you're not
strong.
stuck to one until you're much higher up. Yeah, you're kind of stuck for a while, but eventually you can learn how to do others.
Okay. I thought it was okay.
Yeah,
okay.
you can also buy the ability to do others at the workshop, which I'll kind of talk about because the workshop is kind of a crazy place. But
So
yeah,
is the workshop on like one floor? Or are there like multiple workshops?
there are workshops on every
50,
floor.
right?
Every
no,
floor?
not 50.
The workshop battle is a specific
30.
event on floor 30 that involves the workshop, but the workshop is just like the inventory store. I didn't even mention this. Their inventory is held in this little circle object called a pocket, and you can just like tap the pocket and pull out whatever you want. So
That's like my pocket. Circular.
or this is really circular. We're circling back to a lot of previous episodes.
You-
right
so
now with
you
the
got, like-
cocket and the
Yeah,
frocket.
the frocket.
Okay.
Oh, dude, I completely forgot about that. Wait, so like, what kind of stuff do you carry in your infinite pocket?
Fucking anything.
No, I'm talking to Chris.
Oh, what do I store in my
Yeah,
infinite pocket?
Fucking
Yeah.
canteen.
Yeah, my canteen. I don't know, maybe. Okay, well, do you know what it's like in there? Is it like free space or are things like held pretty tight?
I mean,
Because I mean, if
I would
they're
thi- I
held
would-
pretty tight, I'd bring my computer
I was
around.
gonna say, I feel
It's just
like
infinite.
if it's in your inventory, it's pretty secure. You know, I feel like it's
Okay.
not like
I
you
mean,
can like.
a bed?
It is incredibly hard. It is very hard to access someone else's inventory.
I was gonna say like,
Okay,
bro,
yeah.
I would dead ass. I would carry like a hella snacks. I would put a fucking fridge in my pocket, dude, and then I'd like
Oh,
take that shit
shit,
out
yeah.
and like pull out some food and like
That's fair.
and like
Yeah.
a generator and like a microwave.
Maybe some green beans.
You know what? I think I would carry. I would carry.
Oh,
way
I
more-
don't know. If you were to like cook food and put it in it, what does it stay hot? I have no fucking
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
That would
well,
not
what
type
I'm
if it
wondering.
did.
Well, I mean, well,
You could keep a microwave in there.
well, yeah, but
Yeah.
I would carry like a food warmer too.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Justin.
but it would always be filled with green beans.
I want to know Justin's opinion.
but wait, I'm sorry.
Okay,
no,
okay, yeah.
Give me a second though, but
Carry fucking
so when I say
jalapeno ranch.
I would have a lot of green beans. That's like two. That's like
Yes.
That's like 2% of what I have, and then
You say a
1%.
lot, but it's 2%. Well, how much do you
Oh,
have?
I mean,
okay.
this is infinite.
Okay, I'm saying okay. Trust me, it's a lot of green beans,
Yeah,
but it's
okay.
only 2% of what I
Are we
have.
going to go over all other 98% of what you have?
But okay, there's a big section that is just one thing. Okay, 2%. That's a shit ton of green beans. Let me tell you. The other percent is like things that help me in my green bean processes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like cream of mushroom.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
lettuce,
that's like a little bit, but I'm talking about like devices, like a
An
stove. But
Oh, by the way, fun fact, they actually provide food on the floors for the testers.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you don't have
Okay.
to. Mostly they feed you.
but
So that's kind of cool. I
the
guess.
other 97%, can you guess what it is?
Clemson.
I think he got it, dude.
Okay, can you explain to me how that works?
Okay, so
shit
you have the whole fucking stadium in there. Clemson Stadium, I'm gonna call it.
Clemson football is what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about Clemson football. You've got the whole stadium in there. You've got bunches of memorabilia. You've got Trevor Lawrence.
Bro,
He went back in time. You got Trevor Lawrence. Like,
You taking Dezian too, bro?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Wait. Other 97%. Okay, I can dedicate about 0.2% to Clemson. Okay. That's just telling you how many green beans I have.
That's a lot of green beans.
But the other 97% is just straight oatmeal.
We're done with this conversation for the time being. All right, okay. So the Spear Bears,
bro, I'm Jahard's favorite little outsider.
Oatmeal man.
Yeah, bro. And then 97% of the time that he spends looking at his little iPads, looking at inside my pocket on my oatmeal, it's brown sugar cinnamon. it's got like the little like dinosaur eggs too. You know. Those shits are fire.
Damn.
But like, I can cool it down. It's fire, because it's really good. But like, it gets too hot. But I got like a cooler in my pocket, so it doesn't get too hot.
Okay, I'll see you, bro. I'll see you. All right. So we're gonna finally fucking start this slide this week. All right.
Okay. Now, what were we talking about before this?
We're talking about the fishermen and the pockets.
Yeah, the fishermen.
That's why we call them the tangent.
How did we even get to the pot? Okay, I know we were talking about the fishermen.
The fishermen
like
store their weapons in their pocket.
Okay, like
that's a waste of their pocket, dude.
Do you realize how much oatmeal they could carry?
Yeah, that's a lot of oatmeal.
Well, I didn't say they didn't have no oatmeal. I just said that they do put their weapons in there.
Okay. How like
if those weapons aren't coming out covered in oats, that's not enough oatmeal.
It's just like a fucking like a swamp, like a goddamn thing of quicksand, and they just like stick their hand in and like pull out a fucking weapon that's just like slimed in oatmeal. Like, you're gonna die to this oatmeal spear, son.
Oh fuck.
Okay,
I'm ready to learn about spear bearers.
How deep are their pockets?
Oh,
I said they're infinite. There is no limit.
Okay.
I made that so clear. Like,
okay, that was like kind of far along from what we were talking about.
All right. Let me get to this fucking slide. Okay. Spear bears chuck shit. No fucking shit, dog. So these people tend to work well with the light bearers, which we'll talk about. Spear bearers are essentially the long range combat experts more generally. And they usually work to support the fishermen from very far away. There are some shit spear bearers can do sometimes that are a little nuts. And by the way, you don't have to use a spear at all. There's one guy who literally just chucks lightning bolts. There's a guy who creates like black spheres in his hand and throws them like a shot put kind of. You can do a lot of things with it. Scouts, they're really fucking fast and they specialize in reconnaissance. And then they immediately report to the light bearer what they saw. And then they're like the secondary combat person. So once they've done the reconnaissance, they go and assist the fishermen in hand-to-hand combat. That's why scouts and fishermen tend to have the most fights because they are on like the front fighting people. Light bearers are typically the weakest in combat by a lot. Light bearers will lose to every other position very easily for the most part, unless they're like one particular individual we'll talk about. They're like the control center. So they have these cubes, these like 3 cubes called lighthouses, which they can transfer in between that are essentially like camera control rooms.
I feel like I remember that from the show.
Yeah. And they literally go inside these little cubes and are able to communicate with everyone in their group through the cubes and are able to put other people in the cubes too. So you can I could go have the scout jump in my cube, tell me what he saw, jump in another cube, send the cube across the battlefield, have him jump out, then send my third cube over to grab the spear bearer, pick him up, move him higher, have him throw a spear from there, then move him somewhere else with the cube. It's kind of like that. So they're like the strategists.
So they're kind of like a captain kind of thing.
Yeah, they're like in charge of strategy, and like they give everyone the information they need to know, and that they're incredibly useful.
So when they like put people in their cubes, do they just like teleport them in there or something, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can just enter the cube on their permission. Yeah.
I mean, like,
you can also enter the cube without permission, but that's a little harder.
well, I mean, like, how do they get in the cube?
You just kind of go in.
Like, so did they like send the cube to you and you just like get in?
Yeah, you can just get in the cube.
Okay,
yeah.
I feel like that's like a good strategy. Like, if you're about to get hit, you could just like yeet into a cube or something.
Yeah. And light bearers also get support related Shinsu type spells. Zahard's people don't really like using spells though.
Bro, they got that 5 kill streak. Use that predator missile.
Yeah. Then wave controllers are the last one. Wave controllers are the most varied by a lot. They can do they're just magicians essentially. They could just do anything with Shinsu's kind of. A lot of it you have to kind of be born with like an aptitude for it, but Shinsu by and large is used as water that you launch at people as a projectile, but you can do many other things like create walls of fire, giant explosions, bombs. I just said the same thing twice. You can also you can also summon like giant spheres that summon like a hurricane of just attacks, like a dead ass hurricane. And like tsunamis of water and shit.
All right.
Okay. They have a lot of things to do.
Before we finish this slide, what would you say each one of us is?
I mean, I don't fucking know, bro. Like,
bro, I definitely think.
I think Bryce is our fisherman.
Bryce is our fisherman. He's just.
Texas got to be a scout. The scouts are pretty dim-witted most of the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a scout.
I was gonna say you're not the weakest here, but light bearer because you're the strategist.
I feel like Nolan's the light bearer.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. I think that
and then
like the coolest.
I can't hit the broad sign of the barn, but probably spear bearer over wave controller. I'm not too special.
Yeah, wave controllers also are the rarest position as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Wait, is there any reason why like most of like the base attacks are like water looking?
It's because most Shinsu that they're allowed to use by the administrators is the water in the tower. It's just the easiest thing to control. And it's what they allow them to use. Because you can use other types of Shinsu to attack, but it's like harder to do, one, and two, it's also like not necessarily permitted by many administrators. So that's why.
So like the water, is it just like when you're hit with it, it's like a lot of force, which it makes it powerful? Or is it just like it has like some kind of energy flowing through it that like goes into you or something?
The density and like tension of the water to make it much stronger when you like shoot it. You can just shoot water that does almost nothing, like a fucking squirt gun kind of thing. Okay, move on. Okay. There are special positions that break every rule, obviously. So
nice.
That's kind of how anime works. So here we go. Circlers can make Shinsu into perfect circles. As I said earlier, the density and tension of the Shinsu makes it more powerful. So if it's a perfect circle, that means as dense as it can be, which makes it much stronger. There are only one circler we know of, and we haven't even seen them do anything. We just know of their existence. Pressures can create extremely dense Shinsu that is... Bomb is able to do this, and there's like another character who can also do this, where they're able to like make Shinsu incredibly like tense without having a whole lot of density, so it can be like really strong without being like a super firm shape, which is pretty useful. Then there's flamers. Also, pressures can like set an area of Shinsu to just also be like that too. It's kind of crazy. Flamers, dumb two names here, lightningers and flamers. That's the translation. Stupid ass names. But they can turn Shinsu into fire and lightning. I don't know if you caught that from the name, but there you go.
Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, defenders are tanks.
My understanding.
Defenders, for the record, are the rarest position on this list. And they are just people who use Shinsu to like bulk their durability to an insane amount. They are usually used to just stand in front of light bearers and spear bearers, so they just don't take damage while they just go, yeah.
So you're saying we only know of one circular, but the defender is more rare?
The defenders are more rare, yes. The defenders are pretty uncommon. We know 2, and we've only seen one of them do like anything, and then the other one we just know about.
Is it like they're so rare because they're like just really good, or
it's just not a position people have like an aptitude for, kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, like there's not many people who are like suited for it. So
I mean, like I'm sure there's like so many fucking people, so only 2 people. I mean, I
At
guess
least
that we know of.
yeah.
Or
there could be more.
I mean, but I'm sure we know of a lot of people though.
That's true. Yeah. There are a lot of animas. There's actually a whole family of just animas. Animas summon a familiar. There's a particular familiar that I think is horrifying.
Can you show
I
us?
think you showed me that.
It's a giant, like, it's a baby chief looking ass cat. It's like fucking huge. Honestly, I'll pull this up while I'm talking. But yeah, so the animas can summon giant like spirits. Oh shit, my phone's not on. Give me a second. But animas can summon like giant spirits. Every single like person has a different one, and they usually have a special power of some kind. Also interesting about them is that they have the ability to take on some element of the animal themselves. And some of that is just insane. Some of the things they can do with that are fucking bananas. Also, none of these positions can be had unique from one of the other 5. These are an addition to one of the base 5. These are not your only position ever.
Okay.
You will never just be one of these. And there's one more we're going to talk about in a second, but let me find this picture first. But yeah, go ahead and go to the next slide. This is the last position I want to talk about.
Wow,
This is actually, I actually misspoke on that slide. That was the rarest position defenders were. This is actually by far the rarest one. And we'll talk about this.
Wait,
also,
okay.
what the fuck is this font color? What?
There's
Yeah.
you
There
said
must be a
guides,
mistake here,
and
bro.
there's
What the
2 people on there, right?
Do you
Yeah,
want
But
me
you
to
said there's only
change
2
this?
defenders that we
Oh,
know of.
man.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's
can't.
rare to us. Defenders are, but in general, this is the rarest.
Okay.
They're just more important, so we know more of them, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there's also 2 like characters that are like pretty important that are those. So yeah, go ahead and take a look at this motherfucker. Pass that around. That's probably the most powerful familiar we've seen.
What's the name of this thing?
I feel like you've showed this to me before.
The cat, yeah, I have. The cat, I don't know the name of. The guy on top of it is Yasracha.
Okay. For those at home, you can look up Giant Cat Tower of God. That's
Well, let me
that's
see-
what
let me-
it's.
let me see
It's
this.
a
It's
giant cat.
truly
It's very
nightmarish.
ugly.
Yeah.
Bro, that's kind of a nice looking cat.
He reminds me of Biscuit.
Dude, that I don't know. I'm kind of really thrown off by like its feet. It looks like it's
Well,
a
let me see.
like its feet. I don't know.
I showed the
It looks
Justin,
like it's
I
a
want to see.
different like animal.
Show it to Justin.
It's like
Justin
grabbing it
deserves
or something. I
this.
don't fucking know, dude. It's weird. What are your thoughts, Justin?
Looks like a cartoon.
Justin, you have your own mic and you're not even using it.
What's all over there?
He's laying down. He might as well be asleep.
Yeah, go to bed.
Go to bed.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
You're
go.
on bed anyways.
Let's talk about
I
guides.
already did that in episode
Okay.
2.
Mm-hmm.
So guides are in 2 categories. There is one race of them called the Silver Dwarves, and then the other one is the Red Witches. The Red Witches all seem to be female from what we know, and the dwarves can be either, I think. The dwarves are hella short. I know you can't tell here, but these 2 standing next to each other, she is like double his height.
Okay.
He also, interestingly, he serves Yuri Zahard, the chick that he met at the start, that Bomb meets at the very
I
start.
feel like I remember this guy.
Yeah, and fun fact about him, he serves under her and does what she asks. But the weird thing about that is he's in fact much more broken than she is. He is powerful as shit. He's in the top 100 rankers, and she's not even in the top 5, like 300. He is busted. He's a strong character. The Red Witches and guides in general tend to side with Fug. I'm gonna assume there's a reason for this. My assumption is gonna be Zahard persecuted them because they make climbing the tower in ways that he can't watch too easy. Guides are able to just look at something and know about it. I mean that as literally as I said it. So if I looked at someone, I could just be like, I could just tell you about you. I can walk into a situation I wasn't there for and know everything that's going on. They can see the future. They can climb the towers, the mazes in the middle area that get you up the floors faster. They can just traverse without a single mistake. Often, in fact, there's princesses of Zahard that get to the top are entitled to a guide. This is why I kind of believe they hate Zahard, because they're kind of like forced to just be like servants for the princesses.
Did they become guides, or are they like born guides?
They're born guides. You're born one of these two races and you just are a guide.
I don't know anything about Thug, but I already wanted to be a part of Thug.
Wait, so
and now,
I was about to say,
and now they got the Red Witches.
You said it's Fug, right? Fug is like one of the three, like
it's one of the main organizations.
Okay, and so the guides are aligned with Fug, but they have to serve the princesses, which are part of Jahard.
Yes.
That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. The Red Witches tend to side more with Fug, and the Silver Dwarves tend to align more with Zahard. But that's more probably forcefully, if I had to imagine.
So are they born like that, or is it like a thing where like?
Yeah, they can just do this.
Well, I mean, is it a thing like I'm short and have silver hair?
Yes, they are all like that. Yeah.
That's.
Do you think there's any? Do you think there's
that's just part of the way they are? Yeah.
What if there's people? Do you think there's people out there that like you're short and silver hair, but they aren't guides?
Yeah, actually, for sure. I know of one.
Bro, that must suck. It's like you're born or like, and you're looking at a kid, and you're like, yo, they got gray hair.
Though.
Yeah, well, and they like grow up and they're like a certain age where you can tell that like you're just gonna be really, really short. You're like, yo, let's go. My kid's a guide, and they're like kind of cool, and then they're not.
And then it's like, oh no,
you would be born from silver
hair.
dwarfs if you were gonna be one.
Oh, okay, okay. I was gonna say it would be really like awkward. I'd feel really lonely if I didn't like grow up with silver hair and be really short, or
everyone
female with red hair.
Everyone else around you grow up with will be like that too. So yeah. Also, I have no idea where in the tower they're located. Probably in the outer tower, if I had to imagine, but I'm not certain on that at all.
But why would they live in the outer tower if they can like basically like do anything? Vibe.
I mean, they can actually come in. I think guides are one of the few exceptions of people that can come from the outer to the inner. I believe they can do that.
Oh yeah, like
they also don't have to pass tests. They can just go to the middle tower and skip it.
Wait, so like you're saying that they can just like go from the outer into the inner like on their own will?
They're one of a few people that can do that.
But for the most part, you have to be like summoned into the middle, right?
Yes.
Kind of. Oh yeah. Okay.
You have to have done that before to come into the.
You got to eat your oatmeal first, Bryce.
Fuck.
Doesn't just come to you,
dude. I think I would be in the inner because they would invite me to some oatmeal.
Probably. Now, one thing I do want to mention
are tripping
is there's a character go all the way back to the first slide real quick. So Rachel on the very first slide,
isn't it Rahel?
Maybe it's always been Rachel somewhere. So she is the only person in the tower that Evan says at one time. That Evan, by the way, is the name of that silver-haired dwarf there.
Evan.
He in fact mentions she is the only person he has ever met that he cannot see the future of. I'll get to why that might be important later, but just keep note of that for now. All right, I'll go all the way back.
Oh wait, so they can? I thought like they could see your past, but they can. Oh, you said they can see the future.
They see the past and future to an extent.
Yeah, they can even see their own death, and they must simply
accept the parameters of their demise.
So that's exactly how it's worded. One thing that's crazy is whenever their death is so they can avoid any future they see except for that. However they die is going to happen 100% of the time. So
oof,
that's kind of cool,
bro. Like, what if like it shows like you die like in like a coffee shop, but like you avoid coffee shops for your entire life, but then like one day you just like get teleported in a coffee shop just so you can die.
Yeah, it'd be something like somebody fucking like tackles you through a wall and you happens to be a coffee shop and you just get killed. Something like that.
Or something like I'm just imagining like Justin being able to see that and he's like, dang it, I pooped myself.
Shit.
I know that would be a problem for you, Justin.
Did himself to death.
I'll go to the
Next one?
Yes. Now we're going to talk about the princesses. The princesses are not his daughters at all. They are, in fact, so first of all, there's 3 parameters. You must have a high potential. You must be willing to accept his blood into your body. That's why they're very strong. So like Androsi and Anak from the first part in the show are really broken because they have his blood in their body. And then you have to be hella attractive. If you're not attractive, then he won't pick you. This is primarily, by the way, not because he actually cares, but it's because he wants to pretend like he cares. That's one thing I want to get across here now. The purpose of the system is the princesses who get to the top that are his like highest ranking princesses receive a weapon from what's called the 13-month series, which was made by this one blacksmith that Zahard knew. By the way, those weapons are made out of parts from the key to the 135th floor. So the obvious fan theory is if you get all 13 weapons, you can go to the top. So the idea is he made this system where the sisters fight over the weapons so that they can marry Zahard, because that's the reward for getting all 13. But the thing is he doesn't actually want them to get all 13. So he just stirs up shit between them because the predominant theory is if they got all 13, it would reform the key to the 135th floor, which he just doesn't want to exist at all. Also, another thing about this that's kind of weird is he's just very like aromantic. He just does not care for it. He did at a time, but he doesn't anymore. So that's another reason why he just doesn't want any of them to get them.
My dude's lived for so long. He's like, I've already experienced that. I'm good.
Yeah, he just lives for his iPad now.
Also, and being crossfaded for eternity.
Yeah.
By the way, Pobedao Gustang actually was the person who created this system because he was upset essentially that Zahard and his families were getting so much shit about the fact that there will never be an heir because Zahard's not married. And Zahard's like, well, I can't just marry any chick, you know? They gotta be hot and
he's not
have
gonna die.
very powerful weapons and all that shit. By the way, I don't know how clear it is to the people that Zahard's actually immortal because rankers live so long anyways. But I think it should be kind of getting obvious, but I don't know how obvious it is to most people because they don't live as long as he does.
Okay.
None of them are related to each other unless they're from the same family. A lot of them are from the 10 great families. And the 10 great families want their kids to marry Zahard. It is some of them don't, but for the most part, it's a goal of theirs. They want it to happen.
I would imagine they would want to. He's like the biggest dude ever.
Has he ever had a child?
We'll talk about that.
Is that why he doesn't want people to have babies? Is because he's jealous?
We'll talk about that. Okay. Also, real quick, they may not mate, they may not be in a relationship, and they may not bear a child other than him.
Classic.
A very
That's what you have, my blood, lady.
Yeah, if you have one of the 13-month series, by the way, you're not allowed to give it to other people.
Except for
fun fact, he doesn't give a shit. It's just a rule he says he has, but if you give it to random people, then it's so much less likely that one of them is going to get all of them. So he actually just doesn't care. Because that's all he actually cares about is them not actually getting all of them. And that's why he divides them up anyways.
Couldn't he just like take all of them and just hide them or something where people couldn't get them?
Well, he did it. So he kind of did this also to weaken the pull of the other 10 families because none of them can eclipse him now because they're always so busy fighting each other over the weapons.
That makes sense.
And also
it's a red herring.
Another thing that's pretty interesting about it is he also did it to gain a ton of favor because people think he won't rule forever because there's an opportunity to produce a new heir, even though there's not actually.
God, imagine living for like thousands of years because you've gotten to a certain point.
Dozens of tens of thousands of years.
And you live for about 2,000 years, and Zahard has looked exactly the same every single day, and you're still sitting there like, when are you gonna marry someone?
It's weird, dude. And it seems like a lot of those complaints come from like the more residential people from the middle tower, obviously, because the people on the fucking like toward the top know that Zahar's like immortal. Like they know their parents are, so they probably know he is. All right, we can move on to the next thing.
No.
Does this mean Zahar doesn't have any children of his own? A fuck to the no, it doesn't. Just go ahead and take a look at these two people right here. That is not him on the left. That isn't him. That's someone else.
That's not Zahar.
No, that's a main character too. So that's actually what Zahar looks like. He also has the blonde eyes, by the way, just like that guy. And the little red horny dudes, just like that guy. But it's not confirmed. So I marked here.
Red horny dude.
I marked right here.
Wait,
It's not confirmed though. He doesn't have confirmed children, and I marked that, but he does. Okay.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Have you ever wanted to make a podcast, but you have no idea where to start? Well, it's your lucky day because this episode of Content Crusaders is sponsored by Anchor. Anchor by Spotify is a free-to-use podcast distribution site that allows its users to distribute their podcasts on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Let me tell you from my own experience, when we first started the Content Crusaders podcast, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. But then I discovered Anchor, and they have made producing our podcast a piece of cake. What I really like about their service is they provide a dashboard containing a ton of useful information about your show, such as podcast performance, gender and age of your listeners, and even the geographic location of your listeners. Shout out to our one listener in Argentina, by the way. If you're currently listening to this, we just want to let you know that we love you. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. And did I mention that Anchor is free? Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
All right, so we're going to talk about Zahar finally, but first we're going to talk about Justin's philosophical question.
Philosophical question.
Yo. Fucking mic.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so what we're going to do is your question, Justin, is going to be, if you could have an anima, but you had to be that animal full time, which animal would you have?
Cat.
Thanks for wasting our time. Move on. What the fuck? All right.
And we could talk about green beans for days, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait,
cats?
at least make the cat out of green beans, bro.
Yeah, you can literally do whatever you want with that cat. He's just like, cat. Not like, oh, you know, I want to be this kind of cat. Like, I want to be a tabby. God.
All right.
Okay, so I've mentioned some things on this slide already. Zahar is the main antagonist of the story.
Oh, he seemed kind of like he's like kind of a homie at the same time.
No.
I was really starting to like him.
Zahar's gonna get a lot cooler real quick.
I like this guy so far though.
Yeah, so Zahar is the main antagonist. He was the first person to climb to the top, technically speaking, but he was with 12 other people.
He was just the first person to step on the moon.
Yeah. He's go. Let's
Yeah,
fucking go, Neil.
Let's go.
Let's go, Neil.
Yeah, Lance Armstrong.
Yeah. I was totally thinking of Lance Armstrong too. I don't know why. That doesn't make any sense.
I definitely said that as a joke, but that's pretty funny.
Okay.
I was thinking, what's up with that?
Just got
Neil
steroids on the
Armstrong.
mind,
It's
bro.
just like,
Think about that EPO. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just thinking
the drug
about
he
the
was taking- drug
steroids,
he was
yeah.
taking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you think Zahar was on drugs?
I'm sure he's been on drugs.
Oh, he was probably
Yeah.
crossfaded when he was getting to the
you
top.
think he likes taking uppers or downers more?
Probably the same time.
Oh, okay.
Now, like I said, Zahar signed the contract on floor 100. This is called the immortality contract. So this is where I'm going to get into how this all happened. So there's a fun guy involved in this, and I'll talk about him
Is
in a
he
minute.
like the biggest mushroom ever?
Now, okay, so the thing about this is when you get to the when you got to floor 100, they signed to get immortality for all of them except for one of them whose name was V, and we'll address him in a minute.
What does H do?
So him and his 12 companions all got to that floor. They gained the immortality except for V. By the way, all history of the tower prior to his reign is incredibly unknown. Like almost nothing about it is known at all. This is stated by multiple people, mainly a princess named Garam, who ran away from being a princess to go to floor 43, the floor of death, to hide from him.
I mean,
So
can't he just see her?
Huh?
Can't he just like see her?
Well, no. We'll get there. Okay. 443 we'll talk about in specific soon because it's very important. Okay. He is the most powerful fisherman in the tower. He is very likely, at least in my opinion, to be the strongest person in the tower. Just the two people above him are people that he doesn't fucking like. So he basically put like a target on their back by ranking them above himself. Though I don't necessarily believe that they would beat Tsar in combat. I think there's quite a bit of evidence that they wouldn't. But also, he is the one who enforces rules and shit. And he also makes the rules. There's literally this part where they talk about the judicial branch of the government, the executive branch of the government, and then they talk about the legislative branch of the government. And one character laughs and goes, "What legislative branch? Do you mean Zahard?"
Okay.
He makes all laws in the tower are made by him.
He
Other
is the
than ones
government.
that are just inherently true based on the administrators and the way they work, he makes all laws.
Yeah, so like he's just like the sole governing person, basically.
For the legislative
I was about to
stuff.
say,
Executive and judicial stuff are done by two different groups.
Okay.
We'll talk about the executive group. The judicial group has not really been in the story enough for me to comment on them much yet, but yeah, they exist. He is also, I already mentioned that. And then, Zahard is a fucking petty dude. I cannot stress to you if he does everything very selfishly. And by the way, he is aware that he's selfish. And in fact, he doesn't want to bother his friends, the other family heads, with having to help him. So what he does is he's like, "Hey, if y'all don't want to help, you don't have to. I don't really care. But when it actually matters, you have to help me." And they're like, "Okay, sure." But for the most part, in like 90% of scenarios, they have the right to just refuse to help Zahard with something. Mostly because, like I said, it's usually petty and fucking just because he's slightly irritated about something.
He doesn't even
Zeus
really
like.
need help, does he?
Well, he doesn't like to do anything on his own. For the most part, he
Kinda
sends
lazy.
people to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's not lazy. There is a character who is like lazy, but he is more so just like he is focused on other problems as opposed to like the dude on floor 27 who might kill him in 100,000 years. You know, like
Yeah.
it's not an issue he's worried about very directly. Sometimes though he is, and that's kind of interesting. Also, like I said, he's completely disinterested in marriage. He wants nothing to do with it. And people falsely believe that he is because he says he is, but he would never fucking split his role with anyone. So, and we'll talk more about Zahar as we talk about the rest of the group. So go ahead into the next slide. So this group,
Oh my God.
oh man, that looks way worse on this screen than it did on my computer.
This looks like you were making your first web page in 1993.
This looks like I'm on
This
drugs.
font was so much more readable on my computer, dude. I'm sorry.
Holy shit. Aims to be very much so cold and
For those who are listening, you know,
It's hard to see
Content
this,
Crusaders on YouTube, I'm sure this is probably, I'm guessing, 1 hour and 45 minutes in.
48.
God damn it. I'm such a loser, dude.
I mean, that was close. I
no, it wasn't close, dude. I wasn't close.
What do you mean? That's 3 minutes.
I wasn't close at all.
Bro, I was going to ask you for a fist bump. Can we get like a half fist bump? Can you like do like 2 knuckles? Wait, that
That was a little more than half.
Yeah,
bro.
that was
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
Don't get fucking greedy
Can
on
you
my
take
man.
back one of those knuckles real quick?
Okay. So
Thanks.
I'm going to talk now about all of the family leaders and the families. They're all cool. Their designs are awesome. The ones we've seen. We've only seen 3 of them, but they all look. They have super simple but good designs. I don't have any pictures of them here because there's very few. I can like pass one around if you want me to. But the Coon family is the first one we'll talk about. This is what the main character's best friend is from. They all have blue hair, blue eyes. Different shades of blue, but all blue. And they're known for the ability to turn their shinsu into electricity. Almost every lightninger in the entire show is from this family, but they apparently are not all from this family. It's just like the way it's been. They specialize in spear bearing for the most part. Even the ones who are fishermen by trade are very good at being spear bearers, if not better than most spear bearers are. And the strongest spear bearer in the entire tower is the leader of this family. Actually, no, the second strongest spear bearer in the tower is the leader of this family, Kun Edwan. And let me tell you all about this guy. So Kun Edwan is Kun's the main character. So it's fucking sucks that they call the main character's friend Kun, even though that's his last name, because every time any member of his family appears on screen, they have to say their full name because they fucked up and decided to refer to the main character's friend by his last name and not his first name.
Yeah.
But other families don't have to do that because he didn't make that mistake. But the main character's friend's dad, Kun Edwan, doesn't really like his kids very much. So what he does is he has a shit ton of kids because he just loves fucking, bro. It's like he also is like, I mean, he's an alcoholic and he fucking loves to have sex. And he has like so many wives.
And he hates his children.
Multiple kids with all of them.
What a guy.
This is just a fuck. I mean, that's a consequence of the
He
act.
carries 0% green beans.
Yeah. In fact, he does like this thing every few years where he calls his kids. So what he does is he has them fight for the right to be his chosen children for a set amount of time. And they just like fight and kill each other. So there's like a bunch of like civil wars going on between like branches of his family because of how fucked that is.
You know, some dads leave.
He stays.
And then makes his kids leave.
Yep. They be leaving the realm of the living.
Yeah, by violence, extreme violence.
But yeah, he's also a conniving bitch, but that's like a lot of these people. A lot of these people living a long time evidently makes you kind of a shitty guy, but we'll get into that. Next family. So there are 2 different families that sound like they're the same damn family. The Arye family and the Ari family. They are related. They're brothers, I believe, but I'm not going to confirm that. Maybe they're cousins, something like that. But they're definitely related through their leader. Everyone in the Arye family has white hair, white eyes, and they are specialized in swordsmanship. And what I mean by specialized in swordsmanship is they go like this, and then they slash like slashes the size of buildings and fling them across the entire floor at like the speed of light.
Okay, to explain it to everyone, he just looked like he was buttering toast really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Also, they control the majority of the floors from floor 90 to 100. That's like their area they have. And their leader is the strongest he's like the strongest family leader. He's ranked number 5 behind 4 people that are not family leaders. So there's that. And the other 4 people, we'll talk about all of them. Zahard's number 3. And then the other
Man,
4, 2, and 1 we'll talk about.
You really can't have a like anime or like manga type thing without like having really powerful characters and like a ranking system among them, being like, I'm number 4 ranked powerful person.
Do be facts. Even though like it's not even an accurate ranking, it's just whatever Zahard says. Like because the ranking administration's office determines their rankings, and Zahard can change it at any time he wants. So.
Well, I like it because it's like, I mean, obviously like the whole ranking system isn't unique, but like, I mean, they have to have kind of like a power scale at the same time. But like, I like how they have it, but it's also like just not always accurate because he just decides it, you know? I like that. It's pretty cool.
Also, people that they literally have a segment on it where they're like, yeah, we don't know. We'll just put them in this category. I think that's pretty funny. Okay. So the leader of the White family, Arye Han, is the person who does the test that is considered the hardest to pass in the tower, though it's not supposed to be. And that's the test on floor 100. He is the ruler of floor 100. And he is, in fact, his son actually is a very important character in the story, named White. A very creative name author. He has a white coat, white hair, white sword, white eyes. Call him White.
Yep.
It works.
Yep, that
But-
works.
Arye Han also is a bitch ass to his kids, dude. He actually is so mean to them, dude. He'll like beat the shit out of them when they're little kids, and he'll be like, if you don't want me to beat the shit out of you, then beat the shit out of me. And they're like, it's really not possible. You're like almost the goat, dude. What am I supposed to do?
Almost the
But yeah, he just beats the shit out of his kids.
You have to become goated or.
One thing that's kind of crazy is his kids did this thing where the 5 of them really hated their dad because he would just beat the shit out of them. So they fused into one dude.
What?
Yeah, don't even ask. I don't know how they did it, but that White is actually 5 kids that all hate their father. So we'll talk a little bit more about
That's
him.
pretty neat.
I can't believe that really says something about Edawan's kids. That they can't do that.
Yeah, that they can't fuse together for some
Yeah.
reason.
They can't. I mean, they got. I'm sorry,
They have a
know.
lot more. They have a lot more kids too.
He's got a lot more kids. Sure. Arye.
By the way, Edgewan
Arye
has
keeps them
the
alive.
second most kids for the record. But yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I'd probably hate Edawan more.
So the White, is it like, do they still have like 5 different people like thinking at the same time, or is it just like one being?
no, he's actually one of them named Hoken has completely overridden like the other 4 now.
So it's
Oh,
all 5
wow.
combined into one, but it's only one of them. Is
Yeah,
like,
the one with the strongest Shinsu of the 5, Hoken, is just like the only one in control now.
oh,
There's actually a part where they resplit and then they come back together and he just like eats their souls so they can't talk back anymore.
oof, bro, that's not
Like
brotherly.
father, like son.
Also, the Ari family can just eat people's souls. Also worth noting.
What does it do for them?
Tasty.
They can take their Shinsu and use it. Yeah. So the Ha family is the family that the bitch from the start of the show's from. Also,
Wait, which
Yuri,
who?
the
Who?
black haired chick with the sword that she gives Mom.
Oh
Yeah. So okay. So I must be confusing for Chris because he's not seen the show. But
I've not seen the show.
Yeah. So
that's with the daughter of
Yeah.
Jahard.
we're going to talk about Yuri right now. Okay, so the first 2 kids that Ha Yurine had, Ha Yurine is, by the way, the leader of this family, and she had two twin sisters and never had kids again. And all the other of her descendants are descendants of them. The 2 twin sisters decided they hated each other because they both wanted to become the Zahard princess that would marry Zahard. However, neither of them really qualified, but eventually on one of the 2 sides, the divide between them, because they were pretty even for a long time, split because one of them gave birth to Yuri. Yuri is one of the most powerful princesses of Sahard, and like eventually she will be, at least. So in theory, she's one of the more powerful ones. And they have put all their eggs in that basket. They're like, she's gonna be the princess, she's gonna marry Zahard, and then we can finally be on top. Weird thing about that is that I mean, it's not gonna happen, obviously, because Zahard's not gonna marry anyone, but that's their whole thing. And so there's like a bunch of scenes where they get like hella upset because like they're like, why are y'all treating Yuri bad? Because it's not the reason they treat Yuri bad is Yuri's a revolutionary and they just don't know that. She's trying to like leave the tower, actually, and we'll talk more about that later. But there's like a big organization that wants to leave the tower, and Yuri's a part of that organization, and they just don't even know that. So Yuri's goal isn't even fucking to get the swords, but they think it is. So that's kind of what's going on with them. They also specialize in brute strength and explosive like force. So like they like Yuri, for example, can create bombs that look like giant like flowers and like literally blow up like a whole fort she wanted to. That's crazy. And then she also is like, in terms of physical combat, they're the strongest by a lot. They're very physically powerful.
So she's a ranker, right?
Yeah,
But she's like, you said she's in within like the 300 or something
the top,
like that.
She's within the top like 500 or so, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she has like supposed to have potential to be like a lot stronger, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the Lopobia family are all animal dudes. I fucking love them. They're all sick. They're all just animal guys. They can turn into animals, like parts their bodies into animals. They have
like
big,
a
cool,
beast, like
fun
a
animals.
Beast boy.
Yeah, but like with just one beast.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But yeah, like that. And it's split into 26 branches. Each branch is dedicated to an animal. And the we don't know anything about the leader of this family at all. He's the only one we don't know. I literally wrote here. Here are all their names. I literally just wrote Lopo be a family head because he's the only one whose name we don't know, and we know nothing about him at all. He is. It is likely he's the weakest though, because of the way the rankings are. We know almost everyone else, like in like the top 20-ish his rankings. So he has to be below them at least. So he's probably the weakest, but it's hard to tell. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And honestly, that's the most I can really tell you about the Little Bia family. Like they're in it a lot, but they're animal guys. Got animals. It's cool. Okay. Let's talk about the Hendellock family. This is one of my personal favorites. So the leader of this family's name is Hendellock Bloodmatter. And he is best friends with Coon Edwan, the leader of the Coon family. And he was his defender. And in fact, come to find out, okay, so what happened was they got to floor 100 and they were like, hey, can we be immortal? And they're like, yeah, you all can. Except you. And she was talking to Hendellock Bloodmatter. We don't know why, but she said he can't. Or I don't know, it's a she, I'm just saying that. The guardian or administrator said, no, not you. And he was like, bro, what the fuck? Why can't I be immortal if everybody else can? And there's we don't know why, but he's like, can I sacrifice my children's lifespan instead? And then they were like, yeah, sure. As long as we get the lifespan. So his kids all live to be about 100.
Oh, fuck.
Bro, I love how all these families like just fuck up their kids so bad.
Yeah. Their kids are not relatively very important to
It's
them.
so interesting that they're like, it feels like, without knowing the reason that they don't let people have children, it seems like to me that they just don't understand that people can be good parents. Like they think, oh God, this fucking burden. Like,
fuck, dude, I have kids.
like this Hendo
I just wanted to
guy,
have sex, bro.
This Hendellock guy is like, I have to keep having kids to keep living long.
Also, fun fact.
That's
there's a theory that he also borrows some of the life from the Coon family's children as well, because they have the second most kids, and it's his best friend's family. But his family is the largest by a lot. Also, he is the strongest defender in the tower, and him and Coon Edwan are said to be undefeatable as like a duo. There's almost nobody that can beat them if they're
Except
together.
when they're facing Zahard.
Yeah, they would probably get smoked. Other than that, the RE family, they specialize in the use of specifically needles. They're each born with their own unique needle just for them. They're related to the REA family. This is the family we probably know the least about, to be honest. So that's going to be it for that. Let's talk about the Eurasia family. So this family, everyone in this family, there's actually a character from the show named Lar, who is the dude who's always in the sleeping bag. That's like friends with the main characters. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That dude, there's a whole family of fuckers like him. So they're all incredibly lazy. They're good at they're good wave controllers, almost all of them. And the interesting thing about these guys is that they're just so fucking like lazy, dude. They actually will. This is an actual scene that happened. So there's this girl they meet partway through who has a giant teddy bear pillow. It's like a pink teddy bear pillow, and she flies around so they can do stuff subconsciously in their sleep. So she follows Bomb at his party for a long time, just subconsciously in her sleep. She just like floats around on this teddy bear pillow.
Bro.
And the thing that's insane about this character is this part where there's a war happening. And there's a member on the other side, which is this guy who has a blanket and he has a like a sleep mask. And she runs into him in the middle of battle and they're like, whoa, what's up? And they do like a secret handshake thing. Then they just take a nap together in the middle of the war.
Okay.
That's how you make peace.
That's how you make peace, and that's how you have good children. Like these people are like lazy and don't do shit, and they're the best parents.
Yeah, what's funny is the Eurasia family seems to actually like their children.
Let's fucking go.
They're cool. She seems like a cool person. There are also a lot of them. So some percentage of them look like little kids for some reason. She in particular apparently like really looks like a little kid, but we've not seen her before. But apparently she looks like dead as like a straight little girl, which is insane because she's had many kids. But we take those sometimes, I guess.
You know what? Maybe that's why he's not showing you what that character looks like. He's like, look, the principle exists.
You know it's
the
here.
principle exists.
Good on him.
I'm not going to indulge it.
Okay. I'll go to the next slide.
That's pretty powerful, yeah.
Oh, yeah. By the way, they hate the Pobedal family. The Pobedal family is like their rivals, which is funny because the reason for that is Eurasia Blossom and Pobedal Gustong, the two of them, were lovers for almost the entire journey to the top. And then the Zahard princess system kind of fucked over one of their daughters and it like ruined their relationship like really badly.
Oh,
Ooh.
That's fucking sad.
Yeah. What's funny is it was actually his idea. So it's kind of his own fault, but
Yeah, but did he think it would like...
He did not think what happened would happen. And it's pretty likely that he hates Zahard for that because he's literally starting a revolution to stop it. But go to the next slide. So Pobedal Gustong, he runs the workshop. He actually invented the workshop. Or didn't invent it, but he invents almost everything in it. And his members of his family are all the people that like make inventions of the tower and stuff. So nearly all things other than the 13-month series are made by him and his family. They look insane. Like they literally all look like just fucking crazy monsters and shit, even though he's like a normal looking dude with like a dapper outfit and glasses. The reason he is currently beefing with Zahard in the story and is actually trying to start a revolution of sorts. And there's this part where Zahard's like, hey, everyone in my empire, kill that motherfucker if you see him. So that's what's currently going on.
Okay. But I imagine the reason his kids look like that is because he's just like anger fucking. He's like, I want that lady. I want that Blossom lady. But like dude, he's just angry. He's upset, dude.
Yeah, I can see that.
You got to feel for that, man.
He doesn't have that. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah. No, I know it.
So
yeah. Oh God. Okay, maybe I don't like him. Maybe he's kind of a little pedophilic.
I mean, it's
maybe
possible.
it's
Maybe
better
it's
better that he's fucking weird monsters.
Yeah, but she's like thousands and thousands of years old, Chris. All right, so next family we have the Tupari family. The leader of this family is Tupari. Not a fucking joke,
bro. That's an actual awesome name. Tupri.
Okay, and then by the way, they made the lighthouses. Almost every member of the family is a light bearer. That's pretty much all we know about them. Not about the same as the Ari family. Very little information about them at this time. Then there's the Yeon family. So the Yeon family specialize in fire shinsu. And all of their relevant members are women. And in fact, they fucking hate men. As I marked here, they're much like Tenko of Danganronpa fame. Okay, that they think men are degenerates.
Degenerate males.
And like they for real hate men. The funny part about this whole family is that they have to have kids, though. I mean, there are strong members of the family that are male. They're not actually weaker. They're just dead ass sexist. But there is one thing that's pretty interesting is that the leader of the family, Hana Yeon, is the only one of the 10 who's a virgin. So she just had like her best friend have all her kids for her. I don't know what that means, but that's what they said. So her friend Yeon Iliard is the one who is the actual mother of all of these kids. Somehow, though, they're having like her powers and appearance, Hana's. So I don't know how that
Maybe
works.
It could be like the blood thing.
Yeah, it's
like
possible.
Yeah.
And Hana is supposedly the most attractive woman in the entire tower. And she's also a virgin. And there are a lot of people whose goal is to get in on that. Just a fun fact. And then, by the way, there are many people who build their life and careers around fucking her like friend and having a kid in the Hana family or in the Yeon family. So there's literally a competition they do every few years where so it starts off with a paper document test. You then go in and you do an interview, like a job interview kind of thing. If you're attractive enough and you seem cool and you seem powerful, because you have to be powerful because they're a 10 grade family, then you move on to the next stage where you live with her for 5 years. And after living with her with 5 years with all these other dudes that also want to fuck her, if she chooses you,
Dude.
you become her mate until the next one's
So
selected.
he literally put in a reality TV show into his work. Holy shit! I was also gonna ask Justin. Do you know what a self-fulfilling prophecy is?
No.
Okay, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The fact that they hate males so much, but like people are like, I gotta fuck that virgin. Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
other
like a
people
whole
are like-
separate group of the people that want to fuck her girl.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
like,
they're
I'm
like two
saying
different
that's like
groups.
two different things.
Also, likely
But-
people that are trying to fuck her, or trying to get to her girl, the leader.
And that's
but yeah.
just like, they're literally like surrounded by degenerate males.
Yep.
Degenerate males.
All right, so that's pretty much the basics of what the families are like and what their leaders are like. There are a couple like obviously we don't know much about other than very vague stuff, but that's the gist of it. They're all pretty bad people. I want to make that kind of clear.
Yeah, it kind of
They don't
seems like that.
seem super awesome. Hana is apparently like the nicest one of them by far, the virgin. But the thing about her is apparently when she gets angry, she is like maliciously violent. So that's cool. So
Yeah, she's just suppressing it.
now we'll talk about V and Grace. Again, this part is fucked like right up. So these two are in the group. These are the two forgotten warriors of the 10 Great Warriors. They got to the top, and so V and Zahard were essentially the two candidates to rule the tower once they reached the top, right? That was like their goal. And when they Grace had a different goal, and V eventually shifted to wanting to do that instead because they are lovers, which is not what Zahard wanted, but we'll talk about that. So the thing is they all got along pretty much. Everyone liked Grace, and most people believed V was a good leader, but they didn't really like V. V's kind of like a mean person, but he's like he's responsible. Like he behaves well, even though he's kind of mean to people. When they got to the top, only Grace was granted immortality and not him, which pissed them off, obviously, because they want to get married. So the fact that they aren't married, they can't get married forever because one of them is going to die and the other is not, is incredibly infuriating. So they then make it their goal to get to the top in order to make it so he can be immortal as well. However, the problem with that is that Zahard won't let them. And they decide that they're going to start a war with Zahard, and some of the other warriors are going to, them and some of the other warriors are going to fight with Zahard and a couple other warriors that side with him in order to like get the right to keep going. However, all of them sided with Zahard except for them, which they did not see coming, because a few of them in particular had expressed interest in V ruling the tower as opposed to Zahard. But whenever Zahard made the contract and a specific event occurs, they all start to think, okay, there's no way we could beat Zahard. We're just going to be on his side. So eventually they all side with him. And so these two are left by themselves. So these two try all they might. They couldn't do it. They obviously couldn't win. But V and Zahard, it's talked about like they're relatively equals. But he doesn't have the 10 family leaders like Zahard did. So eventually, Grace at some point in the war gets pregnant, right? And she goes off and has the child in the middle tower somewhere. Zahard is informed when people have children, right? So he hears about it and comes up with this plan. So there was a point in time where Grace is talked about as if she was like the strongest woman in the tower for a long time, and he wanted her to be his wife. It's pretty clear though that he didn't, it doesn't seem like he wants that out of like love necessarily, as much as like how much more powerful it would make his role if she actually was his wife. He then hears that she gave birth, and V is fighting the family leaders on his own. And he's obviously getting decked because he couldn't beat all of them by himself. And while that's happening, V appears in front of Grace and is like, basically like, do you know what you did? And she's like, knows that giving birth is illegal. She's not supposed to do it. And she did not get a contract or anything to do so. So she thought that he would allow it because they were friends for so long. And basically the whole spiel he gives is he's like, no, I gotta like rule the tower now. So I'm gonna fuck you over for this.
Ooh.
And he takes her kid, and the way it describes it is he mutilated the child for days in front of her. Days. And then killed the kid, because the kid's not immortal. When the kid finally dies, she kind of broke and tried to commit suicide. On the other side of things, she finds out that V had died. And that kind of snaps her out of it. And so she takes the child. By the way, Zahard, after he actually kills the kid, just leaves. Doesn't even talk to her anymore. Just walks away.
Yeah.
Then her kid is now like dead, right? So she goes around the tower for years searching for a way to save the kid. And every way that she could save the child requires Zahard's help. And he's not going to help her. So because of this, her only recourse left is to beg to leave the tower so that she can maybe one day have a child that she can actually keep. And someone responds, a character named, they call him the god outside the tower. So there is a deity of some kind who is located outside of the tower. And he speaks to her and says, if you give me the child, I'll let you leave. So she has been carrying the corpse of this kid for a long time, it seems. And so she gives her child to him. And then he takes the kid. By the way, this is where the Jesus symbolism starts to come in here.
How does it get the child?
I don't know. I'm assuming he just tractor beamed that shit up.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah.
I have no idea. By the way, so this is very likely a reference to God and Jesus and Mary and all that shit. Very clearly. For the record, her child is almost certainly Bomb. And Bomb's name translates directly to the 25th night. The 25th of December. Very, very on the nose there. As well as Rachel is like very clearly like Lucifer and all that. So there's like a lot of shit about that. So she eventually leaves the tower, and outside the tower, she meets Rachel at some point. We don't know when, but we know that they did know each other.
So she's the one person that's left.
Yes, she was the one person who left. And the god outside the tower allowed her to leave. And it's presumed that once you leave the tower, your immortality is taken away from you. So she probably just died normally after that. The other thing is that she told Rachel at some time, and by the way, it had to be pretty quickly after because Rachel didn't have her immortality. So she had to have come out, died pretty soon, and told Rachel. So all she ever wanted was to go to the top and apparently hold V's hand and look at like an actual sky. Because outside the tower, it honestly just looks like they all live in the Grand Canyon, but it's the size of like everything. It's a little weird. It literally just like rocks and darkness everywhere. And she just wants to like actually look at like the sky on top of the tower and then like be with V and stuff.
So how does she know?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. How would they know there's a sky?
Well,
there's a whole legend about it.
I may have missed something. I probably did. How did she know like Rachel in the first place?
She just met her outside.
So okay.
It was like coincidentally when she left, she ran into Rachel.
So Rachel came in also.
Rachel also came in. Yeah. So Rachel is an irregular, but she's kind of an exception to the rule where she didn't force herself in. She was allowed in, but it was kind of strange because Head On literally says to her, he's like, yeah, you can like come, I guess, but you weren't chosen. You're not special. You're gonna get fucked up. You can do this if you want, but I don't really recommend it. And he's like, I want you to watch your boy do this test. So she gets in behind. Bomb is like, at the start of the series, is in love with Rachel and just wants to go inside with her. So he just opens it up. He just walks in. And she's like, how the fuck did he do that? Because she'd been trying to do that for years and just couldn't do it. This is presumably after Grace died. She's trying to force her way in. And the problem is that she just can't get in. And she sees Bomb just come in, and then he does a test that the administrator test, which is the harder version, incredibly easily. And she's like, I don't get it. Why is he able to do that? And so she gets like really jealous of him. And it turns into a downward spiral where at this point, we're now to the point where they fucking hate each other, but for a really long time, they're like, he's trying to get her to not be a bitch, and she's just like, no. So, yeah, that's kind of what's going on with that.
As they usually do.
The other thing that she mentions is whenever her son dies, she says to the god outside of the tower that she has a premonition that one day her son will return to the tower and seek out the thorns. I don't know why she knows what that is. I'll bring that up. And one day he will change the structure of the tower. I don't know if that means probably means politically, because holy shit, the government of the tower is effed, to be quite
the tower is now laying down.
He just tips it on its side, and then
the
all his friends
tower
die.
Of God.
I'm trying to put this shit sideways.
That'd be fucking funny, dude. Let's talk real quickly about the three lords. I just want to bring them up real fast. These are the people that run the executive branch of the government. Moloch 1 PGR. Moloch 1 is like a nickname. PGR is probably his actual initials. We don't know what they are. He is the firm advocate that Zahar should stay leader and they should never climb again, and they should just keep the tower exactly like it is. Juchun is like, yo, bro. By the way, he's like the most famously intoxicated person of all time. Like, he's literally always drunk or high, and he's always like, bro, we gotta keep going, man. That's how he is. You know, he just wants to keep going. So he's really advocating for Zahar to keep climbing up. Then there's just this third dude who's an AI made in the workshop by Pobet Augustong. And we don't really know much about him, but we just know that he's literally a robot. That's just one of the people that runs the government.
Okay.
Bro, it's like an Evo.
Yeah.
Damn, this font, dude, this font's so much easier to read on my computer.
Bro, I feel like you should check it before you publish it.
Is that the guy that's on the cat?
Yeah, that's him.
Holy shit, we got the guy on the cat.
Whoa. Yeah. There he is, bro. He's actually on the cat in this picture.
Look, he's saying
cropped it.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Damn. Very good job.
The cat speaks for itself, brother.
Yeah.
So these are the commanders of his 5th and 4th Army Corps. There might be more than 5, but there are at least 5. These characters are all high rankers that are very strong. And one important thing to know about his army is it's headed by a girl named headed by a girl named Adori Zahard, who is the strongest of the princesses. She's ranked.
Really hoping you were gonna say head off, and then I would have popped.
Dude, that would have been the come up story of the.
I would have been so happy. I would have been like, holy fuck, head off, did it, dude.
He's on top.
He's
brother.
real.
But yeah, so she makes all the decisions in terms of his royal guard. His there's a group called the Royal Enforcement Division, or the Red, because of he's got the whole red thing going.
Yeah.
And so, these two are 2 of his commanders. There's actually a whole thing with this guy that happens where he kind of gets, he fucks up, so he gets fired. It's pretty funny. Adori, the leader of the army, is the strongest female in the tower, and it's also the strongest non-irregular in the tower. So she's the strongest regular and woman.
A lot of strong women in this.
There are a lot of powerful women in this
I like
series.
to see that.
Let's go.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Let's go.
They're all pretty cool too.
Nice.
And one thing I'll give
degenerate males.
And one thing I want to give a little time to is she has the Golden November, which is one of the 13-month series. That is the strongest one for some reason. I don't know why November is the strongest. You'd think it'd be December.
Okay.
But she beat the shit out of her sister, who is ranked number 7, tied with her, who is the colorless December.
I got a question.
Yes.
So you got the 13 months. What's the one that's not a month?
It's called the Rainbow Unidecember.
Oh.
Okay.
Is that the most
there's
powerful
just
one?
No. But it's very useful. It's an inventory item. So it's like
Yo.
it's like
just
you already know, bro. You can keep infinite green beans. But you know, you can already fucking do that. Apparently, it's considered the most coveted of the items because it can do things that the others can't, but it's not necessarily the most powerful. So, and no one currently has it. It's the only one that's not owned by someone.
So is it just like somewhere no one knows where it's at?
I think it's just not been given to someone.
Oh, so
someone's got to get hot real quick.
Has it?
Maybe either that or somebody has it that's inactive or a blue hole or something like that. Who knows? Well, one of those two things. Okay. Oh yeah. So for the most part, whenever Zahard gets upset, he's like, "Hey, an entire army of my people who could all solo that entire group of people, go kill them." That's how he operates. So there's this part where Bomb comes out of the train and he's like, yeah, just send a full fucking army after him. Fuck it. And literally every single person in that army could wipe Bomb's party. Every single one of them. And he sent the whole thing. That's what I mean by like, he just does shit. Man. That's very selfish sometimes where he's just like, I know you are in the middle of hunting down like a wanted fugitive. Kill that guy. I don't like that he reminds me of V. Just go kill him. And that's literally the only reason he did it.
What a guy.
I really like Zahard. Very cool character.
Zahard's pretty cool.
I do like him a lot.
Yeah. He's definitely my favorite part.
I definitely started to dislike his character when he, mutilated a kid for days on end.
Yeah, but he coming back though.
Yeah, he got that glow.
Yeah, he's all good,
He's
bro.
got the iPad, bro.
He vibing, BH.
Yeah.
Bro, I bet like
he that's why they're not allowed to have children. It's because he's like, if you have children, I'm gonna have to mutilate them. Come on, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Like, I don't fucking wanna.
It's for the kids,
dude.
It's for the kids.
It's like that fucking like.
Bro, what if like Bam's is like powerful and it's got like the potential because he like beat him up for so long that like Zahard's like own fists like got bloodied, so like he like was transferring like his blood into him like repeatedly over and over again. He's like that'd be
a little sick.
That would be pretty cool. A little power transfer.
That'd be a violent backstory.
Yeah.
I mean it already is violent. You're just adding like another
really
aspect to it.
Yeah, he beat him to such a pulp that they're
finally talking about bugs.
Okay, let's talk about
these
bugs.
characters look so cool too.
These are who are called the Slayers of Fug. The Fug has 11 Slayers. They have one who helped Zahard's group up to the tower and is the brother of Grace Arlen, who wants to fucking kill him.
Of course.
And he made an entire group of people designed to. So the Slayers, there are 11 total. One to kill Zahard, which is Mirsha himself, her brother. And by the way, technically he might be her cousin. I'm saying brother, I'm assuming here. He's related to her. And the other thing that he did is he has 10 other Slayers, one for each family head. And their goal is to one day accumulate 10 Slayers and have a battle where they are able to split them up one-on-one each and actually beat them.
Okay,
here's the problem is there's no fucking way, which is he acknowledges. That's why the plan isn't really that anymore. But that was the initial gist. And they still want people that are strong. Also, this is the only major organization with no irregulars within its group. So they're really seeking out irregulars. They would really like to find one.
Yeah.
Because they don't have one.
They're going to recruit my guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be a fugly.
So actually, currently in the story, Bomb is what is called a Slayer candidate. So he's not one, but they would like him to be. And it's kind of weird because there's a couple parts of the story where these guys are the villains. And then there's a bunch of parts where they're like the main characters and they're like with Bomb the whole time. This is the organization we know the most about because Bomb is like kind of a part of it and kind of isn't at the same time. Because the whole thing at the start of the show where the thing with the like where Rachel pushes him off was actually scripted so that they could kidnap him and basically brainwash him into being their soldier. But it didn't work.
Man, a lot of things about the start of the show that I don't know about.
Yep.
I have read part of the first chapter where she's like, I want to open the door, and he's like, I thought it was more like, okay, maybe it was more like,
or maybe
that's like that sounds more like a
yeah.
I was thinking more like a
oh. Yeah, I want to learn more about Fug.
But yeah, so one thing in particular about this is many of them despise the princess system. The princess system is fucked. So that's a good reason
pretty
to
lame.
just like it.
It's a lot worse of a reality television show thing than
fucking trying to get the fucking virgin.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in the tower really hate Zahard, but most people actually don't. Most people think Zahard's fine. He's pretty popular actually, but the people that don't like him are typically rankers, and a lot of them are in this group. A lot of them aren't either. So they have a bunch of like really weak people that just use Fug as a way to like get to the top because they're able to climb pretty quick because they have a bunch of the Red Witch guides. So that's also like a secondary motivation for a lot of people. Their goal is solely to just kill Zahard and his men. They do not care about getting to the top. They do not care about anything else. They just want to kill those motherfuckers. Usually there's like a motivation intrinsically with these people as to why they want to do it. Briefly, I want to talk about, that's White, the guy I was talking about earlier. That's him.
Okay.
And he wants to kill Arya Han, his dad, because his dad was mean to him and beat the living shit out of him every day for no reason.
Yeah.
Yama's family is a group called the Canines, which are animas that are not from the Lopobia family. And they were like ostracized because they weren't from the Lopobia family, essentially. And their father was even murdered in cold blood in front of them for some reason. And so his goal is to kill Yasracha specifically. And then after that, the Lopobia family leader he wants to kill. Something kind of funny about that is that he actually has fought Yasracha in the story, and that shit was a blow up. It was not good, but it'd be like that sometimes.
You tried.
Also, the Slayers were divided into 3 different generations. The first one were called the Ancient Ones. The only remaining one is Mirsha because all the others died trying to fight Zahard's family because the plan sucked ass and they got fucking destroyed and they all died except for him. There's a couple other people who were in the organization at that time but weren't Slayers called the Elders as well, and those people are pretty powerful too, but they're not like they couldn't even dream of fucking with Zahard's people. And by the way, it's stated that they didn't even get close to killing one of the leaders, like even one. So that gives a frame of reference for how
they
fucked
did
they
one-on-one. Of course they didn't. I mean, maybe try to like sneak up on one of them.
Yeah, they're just not irregulars. It's such like an unfair battle. But the thing is, and there are regulars who could beat irregulars, but they're very uncommon. The other thing that I wanted to bring up here, the other 2 generations, there's this group they're called the Darkness of the Tower, because there was a generation of Slayers that were just horrible people, like manipulating the way that the FUG system worked. Sorry, might be. I meant Fug. And they were just like using it as like a way to like be able to do terrible things with like the protection of the group. And that's why a lot of people hate Fug, and Fug is like, it's not good. And then eventually they're slowly trying to rebound from that with people that actually can get like a following. But particularly this dude, still a fucker.
White.
Fucking awful human. Also Karaka, the guy in the middle,
Looking like a robot looker.
he may or may not be the guy I said. Could be Zahard's son. Just saying. I don't know who the mother would be, but I know for a fact that him and the other guy Wangnan that I showed earlier on the same page as Zahard, very likely they're related to Zahard.
Bro,
actually.
he's trying to kill his dad.
Yeah. Daddy. Also, his inventory is the armor on his body. So he's like quite literally wrapped in green beans.
I was about to say, like, is he stored?
Shit, dude.
He's
like
the
our
green bean fan.
Oh my god! This is
And
my
like,
favorite character.
does he like kind of drip oatmeal everywhere he goes?
He like it's like no.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
That's an oatmeal attack in his hand.
Holy fuck!
I was gonna say,
dude.
like, I think
That's the sugar cinnamon.
I'm
dude.
more thinking that he like.
I can see the
is-
marshmallows in there.
He's like covered in green beans. That's like his armor. But like when he has to like he looks like a robot, so he has to like oil himself. But it's like oatmeal oil, and he's just like he like drips oatmeal because it's like he's got.
Dude.
Justin looks like, man.
Justin, you put us through this every single day.
How do I put us through this?
Fucking. All right.
Okay, next one.
Also the I'm trying to fucking. Oh yeah, there's these two characters. I'm not gonna really talk about them, but just know that there's these characters named the Devil of the Right Arm and the Devil of the Left Arm, who are a part of this this group. Okay.
Okay.
Are we gonna get to the next faction?
Yep. Volheiksong, or I think I said to me Volheiksing. I think that's how you would pronounce it, but we'll just call Volheiksong.
Wow, you really gave that the German flair. It
Yeah,
sounded
you-
so angry.
You did.
Yeah, it's literally just me emulating a Hitler speech. Like, there's no other basis for screaming angry German phrases, I don't think. But
Well, Volheiksong didn't sound like an angry phrase. It sounded kind of nice.
yeah, it's like I'm trying to remember. It's like the tree that flies with wings. Or
The
something.
winged tree under the moon.
Oh, is that
That's
right?
pretty. That's pretty.
Oh yeah, there you go. See, that's pretty. There you go. Well, let me tell you the story about how this fucking thing got started. So there was this guy named Bak Ryun, who is the leader. Also, this guy down there in the bottom left, that's Urek Mizino. We'll talk about.
I'm just thinking about this. So like, I think it's crazy that.
Also, I don't know why this slide's underlined. Like you go,
Obviously, this is like a different. It's a different language, but I like how a 3-syllable word means a 6-word thing in our language.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it could be one
English
word.
is
I mean,
inefficient.
it could be one word that just means like a phrase.
I guess.
Well, I can at least tell you that I think Wald is forest and Vol is tree. In German, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not. I don't fucking speak German, so don't quote that whatsoever.
I think it's this, but I don't think it is.
But I could be.
Yeah, that is right. Wait.
So-
never mind. I was gonna ask you about some green beans in German.
Yeah. Also, Fug has no top 10 rankers. They have 2 top 10 rankers. Volheiksong does. And number 4, that guy in the bottom right there is Urek Mizino. So he is the next irregular I want to talk about. We'll talk about Bomb and Rachel more specifically in a minute. But he, this dude's kind of a baller. He wanted to take the test on floor 100 with Aryeh Han, and he was the first to ever pass his test. And when he did it, he did it with flying colors. And then Zahard was like, he fucking did what? He's number 4. Like he was like, they were actually stressing about that. And he's able to do crazy shit like this. So he met Bak Ryun, and Bak Ryun's like, hey, what's up, chief? And he's like, yo, what's poppin', G? And he's like, do you want to live somewhere else? And Bak Ryun's like, what? And he's like, yeah, just watch this. So he took the forest Bak Ryun lived in and put it in a box and teleported it to a different floor. I don't know how he did that. I don't know what method he could have
got
used.
a fat ass inventory,
But
dude.
that motherfucker got the stacked green bean box. Bro.
That's a big green bean
he got
pocket.
he got a giant can of beans in his pocket.
But yeah, so they eventually became very good friends and jointly created Volheiksing, which his goal is to leave the tower. They don't want to be here. They came in. They don't like it. They just want to get out.
I mean, I feel like I would rather. I mean, obviously, I don't know, but I feel like from what I've heard, living in the tower, in the outer layer in some random place, sounds more nice and peaceful than living on some Grand Canyon.
I don't know,
rock.
because we're getting yeah. I feel like we haven't really gotten the micro of the day in the life of your average tower
dweller.
dweller.
Also, bear in mind, so Mizino is from the outside, obviously, because he's an irregular. So he knows what it's like. So they're probably basing. Also, we don't know that everyone goes to the same place outside the tower. But from what we know, at least where Rachel and Grace are from, the sky isn't present. So there could be another place that Urek came from outside the tower that's more like our world. Who knows? There's not any way to really find out.
Yet.
Probably. They probably will leave. I'd imagine they got to leave at some point because we need to know a little bit more about what the fuck was going on.
Or we don't.
I thought were they just in a damn canyon? I don't get it.
I mean,
Whatever.
that's just kind of the way some shit works.
Literally at the start of the series, Bomb is just chilling at the bottom of a big hole filled with rocks. And he was like, And then Rachel comes over and says, "Oh, there's a kid here," and he's like, "Oh yeah, what's up? How's it going?" And that's his backstory. All right,
That's his backstory.
So, Urek, Mazzino, and him are really good friends with Yuri, as well as a couple other people who are in Zahard's army. And like I said, their goal, they will fight Zahard, and they have, but they only do it as a consequence of having to get out, to try to get out of the tower.
Okay.
There is a theory predominantly that Po Badalgu Stong is working with them in some way to help them get out because he actually thinks he knows how to. Though the way that the person who did get out got out is incredibly
that's very religious.
weird. Yeah, she spoke to God to get out. So
Yeah.
bless up.
Yeah, for real.
That's what happens when you be blessing. Like that.
Also, Urek Mazzino is he has never been in a romantic relationship before, but he really wants to be. That's like a big thing of his.
Of course.
But he's actually just a fucking wretched person to be with because he's so like immature despite the fact that he's so old, relatively speaking. What the fuck is going on over there?
Nothing. Don't worry
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, so he's like just a really immature person. And there's a fact that every time he meets a woman, he's just like, bro, please, bro. It's like Brock, but for thousands of years.
How
Oh,
old is this guy?
Very old. Yeah.
I mean,
they're
you feel
all
like
really
you-
old.
You
yeah.
feel like
he's not nearly as old as like
you
Zahar,
feel like by
He's-
this point he would have been able to pull something.
he was, to our knowledge, the last irregular before Bomb.
But like, I'm guessing that's like a huge gap.
There's a pretty big gap, yeah. And he's also really, like I say, he's good friends with Yuri and Bomb, and he actually helps them a few times. There's this one part where Bomb has this technique he can use where he makes Shinsu into a little black hole. And the thing about it is he's like really bad at doing it. So there's this whole part where he's doing it, and Urek Mazzino comes up behind him, and he's like his hype man, and he's just like, "Yo, you got it, bro. You got this." And he's like, "Can you fucking do something?" He's like, "I literally can't, dog. I can't make black holes, fucker. You do it." And he's just like screaming at it. And like, I think it's really funny because the part where he first meets Bomb, he does that. All his attacks have like really long names. It's like, or Scorching Earth, Destruction, Super Fist, or something like that.
Bro, those are my kind of attacks.
Yeah,
Those are awesome.
this guy deserves someone to love.
Yeah, and he also he walks around in cargo shorts, flip flops,
Oh.
the backward snapback,
No.
and like an open concept
No.
hoodie. And
What
he
a
also
fucking-
Oh no, that's why.
and whenever
Dude.
he fights, he takes the hoodie off and he has a tattoo on his back of the Volhike song symbol.
Dude,
Oh,
this,
he's going
this
a little
is,
too hard.
This is what you call a man.
Like you
Dude, I
can't, you
really like this dude. He's
can't, you
cool.
cannot be wearing fucking cargo shorts and flip flops everywhere
That'd
and
be like-
have a full back tattoo.
That'd be like if I got a fucking Domino's tattoo, dude. On my
Yeah.
back. They're like the size of my back. Reppin'.
Oh my
Jesus
god,
Christ, man.
that's pretty high.
That's why he does. Oh, we're going on.
Yeah, well, we need to move on. But yeah, I fucking love Rick, but yeah. These are the 1 and 2 rankers. Let's go ahead. Let's go and talk about these gentlemen. I didn't want y'all to read ahead on me here. This shit's fucking
Don't read
insane.
ahead.
Well, you can't.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Like I didn't want you to. So yeah, I just
yeah,
wrote that I don't want you to.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Enryu first. Enryu is ranked number 2. This is the guy I
Number one
alluded to.
is Ken.
It's actually Head Off.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. Head off, sound off, head off. Yeah.
yes, fucking sir, bro. Okay, so this guy in Ryu, he got to the top, I believe, and then he might have gotten to the top. It's actually kind of unclear, but he gets to floor 43,
Like the very top.
like 134.
Oh, okay.
And he gets up there. At least we think. He, like I said, there's a chance he didn't. And he goes to floor 43, the floor of death. Now, the floor of death was like a pretty normal looking place. And now it's just a place filled with just blood everywhere, just like pools and pools and pools of blood and shit. And all the people there have like really pale skin now. They all look kind of like skeletons and shit. And it's actually called the floor of death because of what he did. So when he went there, Zahard's army was instigating something with the locals and we're going to like fucking punish them for something. And he showed up and he's like, that's not cool, man. What the fuck? And they're like, what are you going to do about it? And he killed all of them. He killed literally every single one of them. And then they were like, the administrator, who is somewhat allied with Zahard as a result of the contract on 4100, comes in and he said, look, man, you can't just kill everyone here. And he's like, sure I can.
It's
and
like,
he's like,
shut up or I'll kill you too, bro.
yeah. And so he says, sure I can. He said, what do you mean? So he takes a spear. So he's the strongest spear bearer. He takes a spear, which by the way, his Shinsu and everything around him are red. So when he walks around, everything turns red wherever he walks.
Oh my God.
So he has this blood spear, which is like a hardened spear that looks like it's made of blood. And he chucked it into the sky and it turned into millions of them. And then they just rained on this administrator and killed the shit out of him. And then the administrator died and fucking exploded. And his blood flooded the floor. Like the entire floor just got flooded by the blood from this administrator. And then it just like, his blood was like toxic to the environment. It just like killed off almost every living thing.
That's pretty cool.
That kind of it seemed like he was at least doing it for justice reason, and then he kind of just fucked everything over.
Yeah.
Well, the administrator was trying to help Zahard's army, so he just killed it.
No. I'm saying Enryu seemed like he was, it
did end up killing off some people. That's true. Yeah. Now that people have like adapted to it, there's a guy named Hockney who's one of the main characters who's from that floor, and he's kind of cool because he's got the hit marker eyes.
Yo.
Yeah.
Bro, my dude been hitting them quick scopes all day.
Yeah, he's bomb scout for most of the series. I know, he's fucking cool. He has like a fucking he's like this big stick with a lantern on it, and he carries it everywhere, and it doesn't do anything. I don't know why he has it. He's like never done anything with it ever.
It looks cool.
That's a Justin moment.
It does look cool. Hockney also wears cargo shorts, but they're just like blue.
Okay, that's better.
It's a little better, yeah. He's also like really like meek. He's like a weird guy, but yeah.
I mean, he does come from that place.
But yeah, so that's why it's called the Floor of Death. And the reason fugitives like to hide there because it's not monitorable because there's no administrator there. So that's why the runaway princess and Pobedao Gustong has a factory on this floor where he hides shit he's making from Zahard.
Can they not get another one?
Just have a ranker do it.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't seem possible.
Interesting.
They can't birth.
Also,
okay. So what did they do with Enryu?
What they do with Enryu?
Yeah.
They made him ranked number 2, and then something happened to him that we don't know about, and then he's become inactive since.
They're like, shit,
he's gone now, but they don't know where he is.
You fucked me over so bad, but you were kind of powerful while doing it, so you're ranked 2.
At the time, he was ranked 1, and Zahar was ranked 2, and then Fantaminum showed up. Fantaminum walked into the first floor, passed the first test, and climbed to the top floor in a few minutes. Then he stormed the tower, killed nearly all of Zahard's men, and came to Yuri, handed her something, and left. That's all he's ever done. And Zahard literally said, "What in the fuck was that?" And then made him rank number 1. He's like, yeah, I don't know what that was. I don't know who that was, but he's ranked number 1. He is an irregular because Head-On told him so. And he's like, and Head-On's like, I've never seen some shit like that, bro. He literally several minutes passed and he had gotten to the top floor, killed a bunch of people in Zahard's army and left.
So they don't know where he's at.
No idea. And he even someone who saw him fight even said he would kill the administrator on floor 135 easily. It would not even be a challenge. So,
bro, I'm trying to see that.
Yeah, and that's him in the. So you can't see this, but that's a bunch of dead people on the floor, and there's a bunch of tentacles and tendrils back there walking off, and that's Fantaminum. That's the only imagery of him we have at all. But yeah, he is also scheduled at labeled as inactive. On a low key note, Fantaminum might be from a different universe. I'll get into that maybe in a little bit, but we'll talk about that.
All right.
Okay. Let's actually talk about Bomb and Rachel. So Bomb and Rachel are the 2 main characters of the story. It's kind of weird because the story has 2 protagonists, a tritagonist, a deuteragonist, and 4 antagonists. And one of the protagonists is also an antagonist, which is kind of usually not possible, but it kind of is in this case. The thing that's weird is these are the 2 protagonists. And largely their relationship is a humongous biblical reference. I won't get that much into that, but there's a lot of it. And there's a whole bunch of scenes involving them that are like pretty weird, but what you need to know is they were both selected for something to come into the tower for by the god outside the tower. It is unknown why Rachel's future is indistinct. So like I said earlier, they can't read her future for some reason, even though they can read everyone else's. Like, and by the way, when a guide reads the future, they read like nearsightedly, not like the end other than themselves. They know when they'll die, but everyone else, it's kind of like a little different than that. And the whole thing is Rachel just wants to get to the top floor and like fulfill Arlen's dream for her, Grace Arlen. And Bomb just wanted to get to the top to meet her. Then he met, to like go with her. And then he met Zahard and all his men. And he's like, wow, this dude is a dumpster fire. I want to kill him. And then, he got to a point. Is that wrong?
I don't know. I heard something.
It's like a cash register.
Yeah.
The you tech guy?
No, I didn't hear shit.
All right, just making sure.
Fuck,
Okay.
that was weird. That was really
Someone
weird.
might have come in actually. It's possible.
Okay.
But yeah. All right. So Bomb's goal now, as well as Rachel's, to get to the top floor. So in order to beat Zahard, there was actually a weapon made that is believed to be the same weapon that Enryu used to kill the administrator, called they call it Enryu's Thorn. And there's 4 pieces of it spread throughout the tower because everyone wanted something from it. So they got taken by different people. Pobedao Gustong had one. And Pobedao Gustong actually hated V. He says this, V is the worst person I've ever met that wasn't Zahard. He literally said that. And he gave Bomb the thorn, or one of the pieces of the thorn. He's like, look, brother, no one else can use this but an Irregular, and I don't trust any of the other motherfuckers, so you can have this. And Bomb actually got that as a result of the workshop battle. And the workshop battle is basically this series of like team-based events you compete in, and you gain points to buy weapons from the workshop itself, like the main workshop on floor 30, so that you can climb further with these super cool weapons. Okay. It's like a game show, but the what you win is violent objects.
Sounds like a pretty cool game show.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the best parts of the whole show. It's really good. In that part, there's this crazy shit that happens with an AI named Oatmeal who can like speak to anyone through like an app. It's like Tinder, but there's only one person on Tinder and they talk to anyone equally and tell them anything they want to know at all. So you like get on.
How is
like so
okay, never mind.
So basically, like you can like message this chick Emil. So most people in the tower's best friend is Emil, this AI that tells you whatever you want to hear, as well as any like actual information you want to know. She can just say. So like you can just text Emil, where's my boo at right now? And she'll be like, yeah, fucking another girl. And it'll like actually say that. And it can be pretty vividly descriptive if you wanted to. So, because there's like parts where people will be like, tell me more. And she'll like describe the situation more. And sometimes she'll even send a screenshot of it.
A screenshot?
Let's go.
Yeah, Emil's kind of a crazy thing because like a lot of people like live and die by that app in the series. That like people are addicted
I can
to
understand it
because
yeah.
she's like your best friend if you want her to be.
Yeah,
there was like this whole like group of people in the workshop battle who were like, yeah, Emil's my lover, bro. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, it's not real.
Oof.
Literally just a robot, but
I mean,
which is funny because it actually isn't. It's like a woman with no eyes, like strapped inside of like a tube. But
you can't determine love, Nolan.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And the goal of these two characters is to get the thorns. Now the funny part is that they're competing for the thorns, and every time Bomb got it first. Man, it pisses Rachel off. So Pobedao Gustong is like, no biggie. I'll help you out too. So he gives her this stingray that can suck things into its body. It's actually pretty broken. And she's like, dude, yes, I got a cool thing I can do now. All he did that for is there's a ring that Bomb's friend Wangnan has. The guy that looks like Zahard and is almost certainly his son, has a ring on with Zahard's symbol on it. And underneath it is a matching logo from another ring, and the person who has the other ring is the Metal Slayer Karaka, and all he wanted was to steal that ring, And then afterwards, he beams her up into his ship and he's like, well, thank God you went over next to him. I thought you weren't going to do it. And then he takes the ring from her and is like, get the fuck out. So he didn't actually help her at all. But
Nice.
he said he would. So that's cool, I guess. And they actually stowed away on his ship somehow. And that's where she's been for like 5 years. So like real time. Now, the only other thing I want to talk about is like, very briefly, a little more about the Thorn. So the Thorn actually, so there's things called ignition weapons. Like for the 13-month series, when you ignite them with Shinsu, it summons a giant mommy who like
All right.
wraps their body around you and is like, yo, power. And then you get like more powerful. And they're all women, I'm pretty sure. But they're very powerful ignition weapons, but there's much stronger ones. Like this one, because this one turns your body itself into one. So when you trigger it, it has this like white circle around it. And the reason this is so powerful is because ignition weapons have no effect on Zahard because they're from the tower. But irregulars who turn their body into an ignition weapon could just use their body to beat up Zahard because irregulars can actually hurt him and kill him. So the idea is to collect all 4 of these and then train Bomb up to be able to use them. And hopefully Bomb is able to physically hurt Zahard because he is an ignition weapon now. And whenever he uses these, it turns into like, you see those like little like flame sparks coming off of it. Those will like shoot into like far into the sky and Bomb will like use them to like rocket around that shit and just like yeet it. And whenever he's wearing these, he doesn't have to use all of them at once, but it multiplies the more he's using. And Bomb has the ability to copy any ability he's seen. So like there's this one part where a girl can turn time back and dilute it for like a fraction of a second. And Bomb, a girl gets her head sliced off and Bomb copies that ability and goes back almost a minute and saves her life. What? And they were like, what the fuck? And then there's this one guy named like something Love, and he's his whole family have baseball powers. So he has like this big glove, and he's like, yeah, and it's like this like fucking light speed baseball, and Bomb just caught it, made it like twice as big, and threw it back, and just killed this dude.
What?
Oh, oops.
That's fucking pretty cool.
Actually, I'm not sure he died, but I think he did. And then there's like he copied Urek Mazino's like destruction earth super fist thing. He can just do that now. When he went to the 43rd floor, he literally just stole the body of the administrator. He just absorbed it into his body, and he can just like summon parts of that thing's body onto his body, like the anima people can transform into them. He could do that, but for the administrator. So the thing people think is going to happen is eventually he's going to be able to summon the administrator from that floor as a familiar, probably, because he can already do the transformation part.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's crazy. And instead of having like a sword, like whenever he met White, they had a fight and he got a sword himself and he just copied his swordsmanship exactly. So they were like unable to finish the fight because they were just completely even because he just exactly mirrored it and he just couldn't stop it. And there's even a part where he goes to the ranking administration office and beats the ranker the first time he ever goes to floor 50. And there's like footage of it and they show it all over the tower and people are like, what in the goddamn? Because the ranker just does something and then he just copies it and it's like twice as strong. And he doesn't use any moves in that fight to like make a point of it. He only uses that ranker's moves back on him and just smokes him. And they're like, God, what in the world?
Yikes.
Yeah. So that's the gist of Bomb and like him going to the top. And Bomb's main principal goal is killing Zahard now. However, there's a secondary thing he wants, which is the whole fucking point of the tower in the first place.
Is to get to the top.
To get to the top. So the thing with that is he doesn't even care about the thing with seeing the sky anymore. He actually just like hates Rachel now. That relationship kind of blew up like a fucking hot dog in a microwave dog.
That's really cool.
That he hates Rachel.
Oh yeah, he eventually.
That doesn't
Rachel.
Always happen in these kind of things.
That's true. Like,
there was like this one part in particular where after she did one thing, he's like, "I will fucking kill that bitch if I see her again." And I'm like, whoa, let's go, baby.
Get in there, yeah.
Rachel's like the best, like just such a hateable character I've ever seen. Like she is such a cunt, dude.
Oh.
I swear.
Justin, you're upset by that?
No.
You're a Rachel fan?
No.
Oh, he's a Rachel fan.
I knew it, dude.
Rachel fan 101.
Yeah.
Right
Saucy
over here.
vodka.
XX Rachel forever _XX.
Yeah. But yeah, so for the most part, that's kind of where we are now. We're
Okay.
at the part where Bomb's starting to try to get all the thorns and stuff. He only has 2 of the 4 parts right now, but that's like
Hello.
as fucking crazy as it is already. It's kind of insane. He's gonna get 2 more. I like actually can't imagine. But yeah, so at this point, by the way, though, if he fought like a family leader, he would actually get like 1 shot. But you know, it'd be like that sometimes. So
Okay.
that moves us on. I don't think I even have another slide, but it's time for
Yeah.
Bryce's philosophical question.
Philosophical question.
Yeah.
And then we'll segue into the segment name we don't have yet.
Yep.
Rotten Christopher's.
Rotten Christopher.
Every time you say that, that's not the name.
Why did we go with it for episode 1 and then we just dropped
We
it?
don't
Like,
have a name.
Yeah, I feel like
I feel like by
I feel
this
like that's
time.
really-
This is a philosophical question.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
you know
talking
what?
about
Fuck it.
Christopher's.
Philosophical question. What should the name of that segment be?
Oh
I had a different question, but fuck that one. Let's do this.
Oh man. This philosophical level is pretty high right now on this one. Dude, I'm like,
Whatever you say, we're going with. So stick to it.
I'm going to count down with my fingers twice. Okay.
are y'all gonna remember this?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
You might want to write this down.
this is for sure a Kris reviews the media piece and what he thinks and says out of his mouth.
Well, yeah. that's kind of what the word review is.
You know, I
like
wasn't.
that. I like that a lot. Why don't
Was that the title?
Yeah.
Okay, can you repeat that?
I
shit?
asked
Yeah,
you
yeah,
if you were
can-
going to remember it, and y'all said yes.
Kris.
Well, we have it down on recording.
Oh, that is facts.
That is true. Okay, so we're gonna start a segment called.
That was them this time.
We'll call this segment. I guess now. Kris reviews the media piece that you fucking heard about or something like that. That comes out of his.
okay.
talk
And
about
says,
it
like,
with his mouth.
Originally, I wasn't going to go that hard, but I had to get philosophical.
Yeah.
And because of that, I had to lay it down, you know, like just like that. But so y'all are welcome for getting that out there.
And
Um,
reviews it and says it with his mouth. And says it with his mouth. So we're gonna be starting. This could be wrong. We'll fix it in post, which isn't true.
Something along the lines of
Kris reviews the media piece and reviews and says it with his mouth.
how did you spell my name? Wait, let me see that again.
No, I don't know how to fucking spell.
it's Tris.
I definitely saw whatever.
So mad.
I'm ready for you to like tell me the name of it so I can like start my review that I'll say with my mouth.
All right. So this will be
Yeah.
Kris reviews the media piece and reviews and says it with his mouth.
Okay. So
I'm so upset. I'm so upset.
something people don't know
God
about.
damn it.
This is my time, Justin. You had your time. You have your
Also-
own mic, and there were parts where I was like, "Hey, Justin, you're not using your mic."
Also, in fairness,
and you didn't use it.
keep in mind when you're reviewing this is like not the actual story of like the present
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
at all. This is just the background shit.
But what I was gonna say is, something not everyone knows about is that I'm a big lore person. I run a D&D game, and all I ever do is write way too much for that kind of thing. You know, this reminds me of stuff like kill 6 billion demons. That's the reason like I like that is because there's so much lore. and religious symbolism in it, regardless of what religion it is. And I think that this really made me want to read it. This was like the most out of any single one of these that I've wanted to get into just from listening to this. This sounds like such a cool setup, so well made. So one thing I really like is not always having something that is like stereo.
That was
That wasn't me.
I don't even know what happened, bro. What are you doing?
Stereo. They're either good or bad. Zahard, the whole first part of Nolan's thing, I thought pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
He's not a cool guy. He's a morally ambiguous guy, and that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna have to give this an 8.5.
All right.
was that your highest rating?
Probably.
Yeah,
I think
by
it is.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gave the same to Beelzebub,
I did.
I'm pretty sure.
This is getting a 9.
It was either an 8.5 or an 8, one of the two.
Yeah.
This is a 9.
I'm about on the same page on this one. I really enjoyed that one. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Alrighty.
I really like the world building and like
Yeah,
just
definitely.
all that. There's a lot of shit going on.
Also,
lot of
there's
work.
a lot of like fun shit I didn't even get to talk about because it wasn't as important. But
Yeah.
there's like a lot. I could have talked about the workshop like a lot more and stuff like that. But I was trying to get the import show. I also got to talk a lot more about the Hell Train because the Hell Train's kind of fucking sick. It's actually awesome. I didn't even talk about this thing called the Hidden Floor, which I actually, in hindsight, that should have been in this, but it wasn't. But whatever. The Hidden Floor is where a lot of the
20
information comes from.
seconds. Hidden floor. Go.
Yeah. 20 seconds.
So they go there, and Zahard is actually there, but when he was the age he was when he got there, and Bob meets him, and
You're counting way too fucking
I
fast.
know, I was gonna say.
yeah, and then they fight each other, and Bomb's like, Zahard, did you know that you're like actually a bitch now, like in the modern day? And he's like, yeah, I've been told. Can you like stop me? And then he's like, yeah, sure. And then Zahard from the future comes out, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna kill you. And that's when he sends like the fucking army after him. Yeah. Also, one thing I didn't mention. All right, that's it. Not related to the Hidden Floor. I also didn't mention this, but whenever a Zahard princess comes up to Zahard, their bodies like freeze and they can't do anything.
Ew, that's not good.
This
Is that from the blood?
probably. Yeah.
Well, he's not going to do anything sexual to them anyway.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to.
Okay, that's better.
But yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, I think that it's so like he can take strong people who could eventually rebel against him, make them a princess, and then they never can because of the blood. It'll
Oh,
freeze them.
that's a good idea on his part.
I meant to bring that up and I just didn't. So yeah. All right, but that's pretty much everything. So I think we're done. Now that we're about to be finished, Justin can do what he did the whole time and get back on his phone.
Lay down, get on his phone, not use it. Hey, are you turning it up
Bro,
so
why are
we
you
don't
turning
hear
shit
it?
the fuck up?
I didn't use my phone that much.
lies.
I was doing important stuff like Googling shit that you were talking about. Like I Googled the cat.
You were Googling?
Yeah, I Googled the
Well-
cat.
You're with us on this journey. Man.
Well, I'm the tech guy. I gotta know these things.
You just didn't even need to have a mic, bro.
What do you mean? I used it to say cat and said it say no,
So
and now I'm
the tech
talking
guy may or
now.
may not be mic'd up next episode.
No, I'm gonna be
Not
fucking
sure.
mic'd up. It's my decision. I'm the fucking
I
tech
don't
guy.
know if that mic's working. Either way, say goodbye to the tech guy. He was such a good guest. Same with.
Am I getting fired?
Guest.
First time I didn't get paid for? What the fuck?
You're
Next
getting
time-
Mike fired.
Next time we might have a new tech guy, or maybe,
Just like any person.
yeah.
Bye.
All right. Good stuff.